What's up, everybody? What's up? What's up? We got a big stream today going over Dan Bilzerian, exposing some of Dan Bilzerian's lies on Patrick Bet-David's podcast that he was just on. So today, going to go, should be a fun one. As you know, Dan Bilzerian, he became famous for as a poker player and also some shady things. So let's get started and jump right into it.
Yeah, actually, now that you mentioned that, I think I do have a significant high that I remember. I was in class and I had just made like $400,000 that month playing poker. And
how old are you?
I was, this is my last day of college, so it was 27.
Okay.
27. And, my professor was just kind of like talking down to me in some way, shape, or form. I don't remember exactly what he said, but I just kind of like checked him. And I was like, you're not going to talk to me like that, like whatever. And he's kind of like looked at me like I was crazy. And I said something to him like, look, dude, like, what the fuck have you done? Like, you graduated college, like, congratulations. Like, you're not better than me. He's like, oh, what have you done? And I'm like, well, I'm a fucking veteran. And he's like, oh no, this is what he said. He said, what have you done? Graduate high school? I'm like, no, actually I got a GED.
This part, Dan Bilzerian is right before he starts doing his lies. I want to also give people a few minutes to join the stream. No issue with this part. Honestly, there's a big part of this stream. It's really no big deal. It's not really like he's like lying or anything, but let's go.
I made more money last month than you're going to make in the next fucking 3 years, or last week than you're going to make in the next 3 years, and so you're just not going to fucking talk down to me.
Yeah.
And he said, well, if you're so fucking rich, he's like, what are you doing in college? And I was like, I just sat there for like 6 seconds and processed it. And I was like, you know what? That's the smartest thing you've said all fucking semester. You're right. I'm fucking out of here. And I left. And driving home in the car, I never had a better feeling than that. Like, I finally got the chance, and I told him, fuck you on the way out. Like, I finally told the professor to go fuck themselves, and I never had to go back to college, and I never had to, like, answer to anybody. And for that point, like, I never had a job. I just could do whatever the fuck I wanted. I had, like, actual freedom, because the whole time I was gambling in college, I still had to go to class. I was getting the GI Bill and all this stuff, and I felt like I had to do it. And it was just, like, very liberating. For the first time in my life, I felt like I was actually free, because I was in the military, so I was always answering to somebody, and before that, and my parents and whatever. And I think that was like the first time in my life, that defining moment when I was just like, I can do whatever the fuck I want tomorrow.
That's the ultimate high.
That for me, that's the one that I remember the most. I wasn't the richest, I wasn't famous, I wasn't getting, like crazy. It was just like, but I felt free, and that felt really fucking good.
Yeah, I mean that's a big driver, right? Chip on the shoulder, proving others wrong. It is a big driver. I wrote a book earlier this year called Choose Your Enemies Wisely. Some of the guys that do the biggest things in life, they chose the right enemy, but some of them it's temporary drive. Some of them it's 10, 20 years. Some of them it's permanent till the day they die. Yeah, and it's that element of when you look at some guy, you're like, that guy's still going. Why are you still going 50 years later? That's a different enemy he chose than the other guy that had a fire for 6 months or 12 months or 24 months, but that's a completely different conversation.
In these uncertain times, if there's anything we need people to believe the future looks bright. So if you've heard about me saying this mission.
Go past that.
And we certainly don't need to give them any more money. July 25th. These idiots have ruined movies. Everything they put out is literally propaganda.
Let's go back a little bit. 1 second here. Okay, right here. Sorry, guys.
On a link above or below, place your order and represent the VT in the PBD Podcast.
Shout out to Patrick.
That's good.
Real quick, I just want to say shout out to Pat Bet-David. Nice guy. I've met him before, and he was cool with me going, and doing this. He was fairly objective in this. He was really a professional. He was pretty respectful to his guests. He let his guests talk. I got a lot of respect for Pat. Both, he was born in Iran. I've been to Iran. My dad was born in Iran. A ton of respect for Pat. So thank you, Pat, for letting me do this too. So, all right, guys, we're about to get into it.
To see where you're at with that. Let me go to a different conversation with you. Recently, when I watched some of your tweets, I don't know if you've announced this or not. I don't know if you've joined AIPAC. I don't know if you are, if you are an advisor for them. Let me read some of these tweets. Muslims aren't the problem. The open borders and motherfuckers and the media attacking nationalism, pushing DEI, transgenderism, and destroying moral values are the problem. August 4th. If you don't put America first as a U.S. politician, you are committing treason. Supporting Israel is bad for America. Netanyahu is a convicted war criminal, and Israel is not our ally. We fought way too many wars for Israel, and we certainly don't need to give them any more money. July 25th. These idiots have ruined movies. Everything they put out is literally propaganda. And then all of a sudden, we got scripture here. For what shall it profit? For what shall it profit a man if he shall gain the whole world and lose his own soul? Is this recent comments you're making about Israel a recent thing, or have you always had these beliefs?
Yeah, because real
It's
quick,
more
I just
recent.
guys, for the most part, Dan Bilzerian was just known as a degenerate gambler, right? He was known as a degenerate gambler. Father was a criminal. He was doing degenerate things. I guess his company Ignite failed. So for a large part, no one really took Dan Bilzerian serious. He was just like a goofy guy. Maybe people thought he was on steroids. But aside from that, he was basically harmless, right? So this has come out of nowhere. And I'm about to go into why I think I'm going to explain my theory on exactly what is going on with Dan Bilzerian, which you're not going to believe it. I think a lot of you will really be amazed at the step-by-step of how I explain what this guy's reasoning is, because I actually think his anti-Semitism and his Jew hate is something that there is another motive, and you will see in this interview on the stream tonight. My goal is for at least half of you to look at Dan for what he is really doing, not just what he's saying. And now there's going to be a lot of bot accounts from overseas that are going to say, oh yeah, they're going to cheer him on. But we're about to see something else of Dan Bilzerian. Let's go.
Didn't really realize what a problem it was until recently, and then everybody was scared to say something about it. My brother told me, like, you can't say anything about it, they'll fucking kill you. Like, everybody basically said that I couldn't say anything about it, and actually now they're like literally like trying to like kick me off the board of my company because of those tweets. So, like, shit, yeah, I've definitely had a lot of like negative pushback, a lot of my Jewish friends, but I don't give a fuck. It's like one of those things where I know that it's the right thing, and the fact that everybody else is scared to say it makes me, feel obligated to be vocal about it.
Why do you think it's the right thing?
Because I know that they're a fucking parasite. Like, they provide the U.S. absolutely no value. They've done so many thand would constitute, an act of war against us. I mean, USS Liberty, Lebanon Affair. I mean, I can go on and on and on and on and on. But I think they knew about 9/11. I think they had JFK assassinated. The first thing that he wanted to do, right before he died was, make AIPAC a foreign entity, and not allow them to have nukes. And then all of a sudden this fucking guy's dead. And Jack Ruby, who is Jack Rubenstein, I mean, it's just like, and then
first of all, the one thing I'd like
I
to
don't
say
know,
here,
man.
one thing I want to say here, when Americans say Rubenstein, first of all, in German, I'm in Germany. All right. I'm American, born and raised in the United States. I've been here for about 4 years. And when you say Rubenstein, it's Stein, Einstein, Einstein. No one says that in Deutschland. All right, it's Rubenstein. So a lot of these names, actually, if you come here to Deutschland and Germany, they're just German names. It's just like this whole conception of Rubenstein is Jewish. It's fucking complete bullshit. Yeah, many Jewish people have that name, but in reality, these are very popular. Like, a lot of these names are actually just popular German names. All right, let's go.
I can't ignore all the shit that they've done. They sold their secrets. Netanyahu lied to us about weapons of mass destruction. We fought all these fucking wars. My friends have died over there. And I just look at what they provided us with, and it's fucking, it's not nothing. It's like a negative, it's not, even if they just didn't do jack shit, that would be, bad, but they've actually done things to hurt us over and over and over again. So like this whole thing of they're our greatest ally is just complete fucking bullshit. And, we send them $100 billion, then they send AIPAC $100 million, and then they distribute it to our politicians, and every politician is a little fucking AIPAC handler walking around, and tell them what to fucking say and how to vote. And it's just like, look, I'll donate like $100,000 to politicians, and they call me up like, hey, you need anything? Like every week. I don't need shit. I fucking sit on my ass. I don't do anything. I don't care. I don't fucking break any laws. I don't need any favors. Like I just gave it to them because I didn't want to see any more fucking retard, Democrats in there. So, but that's 100,000. Like what does 100 million buy you? How many fucking phone calls do those guys get? And so like, I just know how it works. And the system is broken. Like these people get into office and they don't have very much money and they get out of office with fucking tens or hundreds of millions of dollars. It's not a fucking accident, right?
Is that an Israel thing or is that anybody? Because China's doing the same thing.
China doesn't have they don't have an APAC.
Okay, hold on, guys. So let's confront, impress good old Dan Bilzerian, good old Danny, good old Dan the fraud, Bilzerian the fraud. Let's confront what he just said here about China. Good job, Pat. Good fucking job. Let's look at which countries, according to Open Secrets, has given the most money. This is one of the most stupidest, blatant Jewish libel, blood libel scams and psyops you guys are getting from fake bot accounts overseas with low IQ Americans that grift like Sneeko and Nick Fuentes and Myron. They talk about AIPAC. They talk about the Israel lobby. So let's look in fact with transparency. Which countries are giving the most money to the United States of America in the last, let's say, 7 years and in 2023? Let's look for a fact. Which countries are giving the most money? Please, let's look it up here. I got it here on Open Secrets. 1 second, pull it up. Okay, there's another screen. Hold on. There's another one before we go to this. All right, guys. So look at this right here. I'm going to try to move this title out so you guys can see it. Just for a second here. Okay, yeah. Okay. All right. Look at that. This is according to Open Secrets. Now, of course, you're not going to see these Qatar chills like Cancel Coco, who basically sells out our country, does all this misinformation just to get views and clicks by bots financing Qatar or let's say China or whatever fucking country. These guys are low IQ Americans that lie to you. They're not telling you exactly. They keep talking about Israel, AIPAC lobby. Well, let's see exactly how fucking big is Israel in the lobbying game. Look right here. This is from 2016. Okay? This is from 2016. These low IQ Americans don't know. Let's look. China. Number 2, Japan. Number 3, Liberia. Number 4, South Korea. Hold on, guys. Hold on. The Jews are coming. Saudi Arabia. Marshall fucking Islands. And then good old Qatar. Good old Qatar financing the American universities. Oh, the Jews, the liberals, they're controlling the universities. What about Qatar? Lucas Gage? What about Qatar? Nick Fuentes? What about Qatar or Saudi Arabia, you low IQ closet homosexual who sold your ass to some gay fashion photographers in New York City? Sneeko? What about them? What about them, you low IQ piece of shit? Let's look at here. Qatar, Bahamas. Bear in mind, Bahamas gives more money in foreign lobbying, according to Open Secrets, than Israel. And then, of course, the UAE, the good old UAE, which I have a lot of love for. And actually, the UAE and Israel have a good relationship. And the UAE is actually, UAE and Saudi leadership are working on bringing more stabilization to the Middle East, I think, with Israel and working with the West. No issue. Okay, no issue. Not like Al Jazeera and Qatar. First of all, I have family from Jerusalem and Iran. I've been to both countries, Israel and Iran. Now let's talk. Is everyone here Jewish? First of all, you'd be amazed how many people on my team are Arabs. Not everyone's a bigot like you. So let's get back into this. Now, where is Israel? Now let's look at the last year. Hold on. Let's look at the last year. Let's look at 2023. I challenge these grifting American, low IQ Americans like Cancel Coco, the closet home. I call them the closet homosexual lunch table. You know, like at a high school, you got a lunch table where all the athletes, the jocks, the girls, the mean girls, you know, the Jews, the blacks, the Mexicans. I call this the gay lunch table. Okay, the gay lunch table at your high school cafeteria is Jake Shields, because they're basically closet homosexuals. Jake Shields, Myron, Sneeko, and Nick Fuentes. And an occasional visitor, the guy with the pink underwear, might be a tran, Andrew Tate. Now, here we go. Let's look at the 10 biggest countries to give foreign lobbying to the United States that Al Jazeera and Qatar and over 500,000 fake bot accounts, let's say, from China, Russia, and Iran on X will not tell you. Let's look. Let's look, because Israel has to be number one, right? Japan, Turkey, Saudi Arabia, Bermuda, Canada, United Arab Emirates, China, South Korea, Switzerland, and down in the bottom, our good old friends at Qatar. Where's Israel? Where's Israel, you low IQ, gay, homosexual Nick Fuentes? Where's Israel, you gay, homosexual Sneeko with your low IQ? You guys Sneeko would have been better off being a gay male model in New York with these fashion photographers selling his tushy. That's what he would have been better at. Don't get involved in politics, you dumb. You don't know what you're talking about. You're an idiot. You're an idiot. This is clear proof you are an idiot. You could troll me with 500,000 fake bot accounts. You guys do these X spaces that are complete hoax. And then you make fun of let's go back to the Dan Bilzerian, this scumbag. You guys do these X spaces where you put the softest spoken Jews on there. You avoid the tough Jews though, right? You put the softest spoken Jew on your X space. Meanwhile, you put the most redneck tough guy like fucking Dan Bilzerian to press the Jew, and you have 20 of them. Mario Fatal. Come on, man. You even follow me. I follow you. Like, what the heck? You guys gatekeep it. You play both sides of the fence. And at the end of the day, between the migrants that are invading Europe, I'm in Germany. I'm actually an American that lives abroad. Okay? I actually know what it's like here. All right? Between that gang of people invading, raping the women here, you see what Tommy Robinson goes through. Tommy Robinson, I spoke it on June 1st in London on behalf to help those British people. Okay? Now, what's my point? Where are we today? Where are we today? Because they'll say, oh, the Jews started the problem in England. The Jews started the problem in England. Jews been in England for hundreds of years. Why can't you just say it's the migrants? Because the Qatar bots that promote accounts like Cancel Coco and promote accounts like Nick Fuentes and Sneeko, they don't like that. They want to pump misinformation and divide the United States of America. Right? They hate me. They hate when I'm on Rumble. They hate when I'm on X. They hate it. They hate it. You guys can't run from me forever. Eventually, your cuckoo ideas are going to go into the mainstream. And you're going to get tested. You're going to get pressed. Your ideas can't go. That's why I'm happy Nick Fuentes, that scumbag gay homosexual who my friend Milo cooked, by the way. And I would encourage you guys to see my Milo episode on Rumble. Now, what's my point? That when his ideas are tested, he gets cooked. Let's look at how Patrick Bet-David cooked Dan Bilzerian now. Let's get in. Shout out to Tommy Robinson. And by the way, I just want to say I have no intention on getting involved in British politics, British domestic issues. I'm an American national. I have a home here in Germany. I married a native German woman. I have no issue. I have to the UK border agency in the event that I come to the UK on Monday. I have no involvement. I'm not meeting with any British political figures. I just want to emphasize that so I don't get fucking arrested. I got a daughter. I got a wife. Please don't fucking arrest me if I come on Monday. All right, let's get back into it.
Lobby in the U.S. fucking, giving these politicians money.
Okay, no, every country, the big ones all have lobbyists. They all have lobbying that they're doing.
Not in the U.S. They're registered as foreign entities.
Right. I mean, if you're talking about, are you going to the dual citizenship part with Israel, Israel?
That's another problem is a lot of our politicians have far more allegiance to Israel than they do the United States. I mean, that's a whole nother issue as well.
Do you know why they did the dual citizenship? Do you know the history behind why they did the dual citizenship?
What do you mean?
Like, so the whole concept of dual citizenship was because when Israel became a, country again, they didn't want the people from here who wanted to go back to Israel that didn't have a motivation to go if they were going to lose their citizenship here. So that was the reason why they did it. It was kind of like, okay, you're your own country. We kind of need some of you guys to move over there to help the country out. Yeah, but I'm not going to go. Why are you not going to go? Am I going to lose my citizenship here? But you are. I mean, we don't do that. Every other country, I don't want to lose my citizenship. Well, okay, how about if we do this? How about if we allow you, just Israel, to go back to your country, you won't lose your citizenship? That was the arrangement at the beginning why they did it that way.
No, look, I get it. I have 3 citizenships. You know what I mean? I think it's okay. I think the
3 citizenships, by the way. He has 3 citizenships, and that's important to discuss because I'm going to get into that. Why? Which countries does he have 3 citizenships, this scumbag? Degenerate gambler, Dan Bilzerian, who beats women. Okay? I'm not scared of you, Dan. I'm not scared of your street thugs in these Romanian warehouses like Andrew Tate and Tristan Tate with over 30 allegations of rape and human trafficking. I'm not scared of you scumbags. Okay? I'm not. I'm not afraid of street thugs that belong in cages. Let's go.
The same kids.
Okay, got it.
Yeah, so, I mean, I don't have an issue with dual citizenship. My issue is when somebody is holding a U.S. office and they are putting a foreign nation's interest before America's interest, and they are favoring that other country. And so that, to me, is treason. Like, when you are a U.S. government official, your motivation should be to do things in the best interest of the government that you are representing, not some other fucking foreign country. And that's the problem.
Okay, so, but go through it. So what is the solution? Meaning, if Israel's the enemy, then if let's just say you don't do anything and everybody in the Middle East unites to take out Israel, do you think the Middle East is better without Israel? And do you think the world's a safer place without Israel?
100%. It's not even close.
Okay, tell me why. Why do you think?
Give me an argument otherwise, please.
But
give me one argument why the world would be better off. Let's just start with that. One thing. Give me one thing.
Have you ever lived in the Middle East?
No.
I lived there for 10 and a half years. It's a very, it's not as like here. You can sit here, you can be an atheist, you can be an agnostic, I can be a Christian, he can be a Jew, he can be an LDS, Muslim, no problem. We can coexist here. You can do that in Israel. You can do that.
I mean, not really. They're operating apartheid right now. So everybody's not living equal.
Let's talk about exactly, okay, so he's saying, Dan Bilzerian here is saying, oh, what is the one thing Israel has done for the world? So why don't we just say, what's the one thing in the world Armenia has done? But I won't slander Armenia. One of my good friends is Armenian. My boxing coach in Deutschland here in Germany is Armenian. I'm going to an Armenian wedding next month in the south of France. I would be embarrassed if I slandered Armenian. I like Pat. Pat's a guy who I felt encouraged me in the social media game when I met him a few months ago. So I have no disrespect. I got, Armenians are respected in Iran. Okay. Now I'm not going to slander him the way he just slanders my people, the Jews. I'm also mixed with Iranian. I also married an evangelical Christian woman who's, by the way, according, I guess, to my Talmud, a cattle, because in the Talmud, it says the non-Jew, the goy is cattle, yet my daughter's a fucking goy. So clearly, the Talmud that almost no Jew has ever read, except some, guys that are into philosophy or maybe extremely religious that read the commentary. But we're going to go into the Talmud too, because I think it's important that you guys hear what a Jew will say about the Talmud. Why don't you hear it from our mouths, what this faith is, which is a bedrock of so many Christians and Muslims' entire ideology, theology, and fundamental principles and beliefs. How about you actually talk to a Jew and he explains to you what the Talmud is, rather than these lies? Because obviously the pedophile group, the Groypers, which follow closeted gay Mexican homosexual Nick Fuentes, they know more about the Talmud than a guy that's Israeli, whose family was in Jerusalem before the state of Israel was made. He knows more. These scumbags that work as a cashier at Burger King, Lucas Gage, who embarrasses his wife, neo-Nazi lover skinhead, he knows more about the Talmud than me. He knows more about the Torah than me. Of course, because he has bots in Qatar. He has bots out of, let's say, China, Russia, Iran, all these countries, Qatar. Who fucking knows? Financing and indoctrinating you low IQ Americans on X. A lot of Americans actually know. And, you know, shout out to Elon Musk, who's cleaned up a lot of the indoctrination and misinformation on X. Because the fact of the matter is that he's not able to talk about what's going on with the intelligence reports and what's happening with the NSA, CIA, intelligence agencies across the globe that see what's happening on X. He's not going to disclose this classified information to you scumbags. So he just has to sit there and look at it too. It's not that he's stupid. He's protecting America. He bought X to protect America, to protect the West. You think he's going to sell it out? Says who? Solomon, the Pakistani in England? Who? Censored man? Why don't we see, is it censored man or Pakistani man? Why don't you fucking have your name? I'm curious. This is just my opinion. I'm not doing any allegation. It's not even an allegation. It's just my opinion. Just my opinion. I think censored man is a Pakistani in England. Can you prove he's not? Because he has a lot to say about the United States politics. I'll tell you that. Or that gay transvestite, Dr. Lupus. Brilliant, Nima. These jerks don't know shit. Thanks, bro. Nima, you are right. Thank you. Danzy. Only fools make up lies to win an argument. I'm reading the Rumble chat. Shout out to Rumble chat. Shout out to Rumble. Shout out to Rumble. Shout out to Elon Musk. You know what I'm saying? Like, honestly, on YouTube, I get 45 fucking views right now. We got over 2,100 people on here between where we're on. Free speech. You know, most of you guys, most of you Arabs, most of you Pakistanis and skinheads actually agree with a lot of what I said. You know, I'm a 43-year-old man. You're going to put respect on my motherfucking name. Built businesses, married, good dad. I encourage you to exercise. I encourage you to follow the law. No, you guys want to go follow some street thugs in Romania who have over 30 allegations of rape, human trafficking. I'm a father. I take that serious. Now, let's talk about Israel. What has Israel done for the world? Let's talk about it. There's important parts of the most high-tech American products that have been invented and designed in Israel, which help American companies be more successful and make more money around the globe. Okay. Companies like who? Let's look at it. Cisco, Intel, Motorola, Applied Materials, and HP. Now, these are just like boom, boom, a few examples. Israel is home, did you know, to over 2,500 United States companies that employ over 72,000 Israelis, according to the U.S. Chamber of Commerce. These companies also help support thousands of other jobs indirectly. But Nima, but now, before Cancel Coco says, for that Cancel Coco, I would love 12 rounds. I would love 36 minutes in a boxing room with Cancel Coco. You have no fucking idea. Or that gay, closeted homosexual Jake Shields. I would love to see my boy Natan Levy, UFC fighter, go at Jake Shields. All right. So what has the United States done according to that street thug in a Romanian warehouse, Andrew Tate? He says, oh, it's not reciprocal. Oh, America helps Israel. But what does Israel do for the United States? Well, listen here, you street thug. I'll tell you what Israel does for the United States. Let's just talk about the state of Massachusetts. Now, in the state of Massachusetts, okay, a study found that businesses started by people from Israel have created about 9,000 jobs. These businesses also help support about 18,000 jobs, okay? Together, they make up nearly 4% of the money the state earns. Now, you might be wondering, okay, Nima, that's Massachusetts. True. And that's only one state. That's only one state. of what Israel does, not to mention all the innovation that comes out of the state of Israel to help us with intelligence in a region that's hostile to American interests, national security interests, not to mention all the information and innovation that comes, as well as being a strategic ally in that region. Once Israel falls, what's next? Europe, they're already coming across the Mediterranean in boats, raping, killing, murdering, disrespecting the Europeans. I'm in Europe. Most of you guys have never been to Europe. Now, in a city, Beersheba, beautiful Israeli city. And I say it with an American accent. Fuck it. I was born and raised in America. I lived in New York City about 15 years. It is what it is. I wasn't raised in Israel, but I've been to Israel more than once, but I'm not like full-blown Israel. You know, I'm American first. Believe it or not, I am American first. I think you can be American first and be supportive of Israel. Those two things can exist, believe it or not. Just like you can support England, just like you can support Australia. American and Israeli cities work at a place I encourage you guys to all go to. It's called Cyber Spark. Okay. And now let me tell you something else, because if you go to Israel, you're going to see so many American companies there that are creating new technologies and that are on the cutting edge. Israel is a tiny speck in there. And look at all the innovation that comes out of it. In 2022, Israel, because we're talking about Dan. Let's go back to Dan Bilzerian for a second. We're talking about Dan Bilzerian, who said that Israel, what has Israel done? In 2022, Israel was ranked 6th in the World Index of Healthcare Innovation, showing its hospitals and health services are among the best in the world. Did you know, they say, one of the leaders of Hamas, when he had a brain tumor, Israeli doctors helped him. Now look what they did. Israel is known as a global leader in medical and digital health technologies. Recently, they've made important progress in fighting diseases like Alzheimer's, cancers, and heart disease. You wouldn't have a Jewish doctor help you? If I had cancer, if you had cancer, would you not have a Jewish doctor help? I would. When I've been sick, I've had a Jewish doctor help me. I've also had a German doctor help me. But if there's a good Jewish doctor, would you not have a Jewish doctor help you if your dad had Alzheimer's or heart disease? You wouldn't take it? Oh, Nima, no, I wouldn't. You would. Let's be real. Your dad's about to die. Your mom's about to die of a stroke. And the best doctor in the hospital, let's just say, is a Jew. I know. I shouldn't say that, because Jewish people, we have to hate ourselves. We can't say maybe occasionally at a hospital, the best doctor is a Jew. We can't say that, because we have to have shame. We have to keep our head down. A good Jew is a quiet Jew. A good Jew is a quiet Jew. Tired of this shit. All right. You wouldn't have your mother, your mom. You wouldn't want a doctor. Your mom has a stroke. You wouldn't want to have a Jew doctor who let's just say happens to be a Jew. He's the #1 doctor in there. He saved the most lives. You wouldn't have a Jew save your mom's life. But then what are you going to do? Come on X and say, fuck Jews? That's how I feel about the Democrat Party. Everything the Jews have done, all the money we've given to these Democrats as a people, then they spit in our face. They spit in our face. Okay, let's go back to it.
Not at the level of what Iran is doing. I mean, in Iran, if you're thinking what Israel is doing out of control, do you know how much money Khamenei's families made? Do you know how much money they've taken? They have 200.
I've never been to Iran, but I've been to Dubai, I've been to Saudi, I've been to UAE. So and they're all Muslim. They seem to be operating fine.
I would say Iran's slightly different than. But go back to it. So so you think the Middle East and the world would be a better place if Israel didn't exist?
Yes.
Okay.
Israel's committed, so many terrorist attacks. They're stealing land right now. They're operating apartheid. They're currently committing a genocide on Palestinians.
Genocide. They're committing a genocide on Palestinians. Let's just look at how stupid this comment is. First of all, one of my little bros that I have on my team is a Palestinian in Ramallah. Okay, I've been to Jerusalem. I've actually been to Jerusalem. My family's from there. All right, and Iran. I'm on both sides of this shit. And I was born in America. Okay, so this is what I want to explain: the idiotic of this. How are we committing genocide when, if you look at the Palestinian population over the last 5 decades, it's gone like this? But we've committed genocide? All that land owned by the Arabs. We can't have a tiny speck? We can't exist. Just say what you want. You want Israel to disappear. But we're going to get into why Dan Bilzerian says this. I promise this is not clickbait. I'm going to go into why I believe, the number one reason I believe Dan Bilzerian is pushing this anti-Israel rhetoric. I'm going to get into it. I give you my word. It is not clickbait. I'm going to give you a real reason. You're not going to walk away from this stream not knowing that reason. By the way, let's see what Trump talks. Let's go back to what America, a real American. Donald Trump was a New York City real estate developer. I met Trump before he was president. I met him once. Inspired the heck out of me. I used to work at 575 Madison Avenue in New York, and I would go across the street to Trump Tower, and I'd have lunch. I knew a bunch of the guys there. This is before he ran for president. This guy encouraged me to go hard in real estate. My first year in real estate. And for anybody in New York real estate back in the day, before Trump was a president, that motherfucker was a G. Okay? Any guy with dick and balls wanted to be like Trump. Maybe. Not anybody, not everybody. Maybe I did. Okay? I'm not telling you who I'm going to vote for. I'm not saying I'm voting for Trump. I'm not saying I'm voting for Kamala. It's none of your business who I'd vote for. It's literally none of your business who I'm going to vote for. I'm not endorsing anyone. But I will say that Trump was very nice and he encouraged the heck out of me. Now let's see what Trump says here. A fucking man talking about America first. Yes, America first. Let's look at this. All right, I think we got to download this video first before I don't hear the volume. Okay, we'll go back to the Dan Bilzerian.
I think they're fighting for themselves and they're defending themselves.
Do you think that's defense?
Well,
when 1,200 people died,
Yeah.
and of which the 1,200 you've killed and admitted that
Right.
you've killed a lot during, your
I
Hannibal.
will tell you this. The part I question where people who are Jewish can't stand when I say this, I don't know how you, Netanyahu, claim you have the best intelligence in the world, Mossad, and you didn't know that on October 7th they were
They
attacking
knew
you?
about it. They didn't. They wanted
I'm gonna
to
say
happen,
this,
so they had
Pat,
reason to
I'm gonna
take
say this about
yeah,
Pat. I'm
they
gonna say
wanted
this.
a reason to take the
Real
land.
quick,
I
I'm gonna
totally
say
get
this.
it.
Hold on. I'm gonna say
Killed
this
their own
about Pat.
citizens.
I'm gonna say this about Pat. I disagree with Pat on this. But I think that it's good that we can hear Pat's point of view. And I disagree, but I can understand Pat at least questioning it. I respect Pat a lot, and it's possible that there was an intelligent mistake, and it's also possible that a million scenarios have happened. And it is possible that Israel did know October 7th was going to happen. I mean, we can play this what if Trump campaign knew what happened and he got shot? We can play the what if game. I'm not going to be on the stream that long. I got a wife and kid. My wife's in bed pretty soon. I'm not going to be here 15 hours to talk about the what ifs. But I respect that Pat asked that question, and he has a right to ask that question. And again, I want to just emphasize, shout out to Patrick David, who I spoke with briefly earlier today, and he was cool with me doing this. And he knew I was going to talk about it. So he was cool with me using the footage. And I just want to say again, thank you, Pat, for being open to, some pushback. Let's go.
But and
Oh, hold on. We'll go back to the
beheaded
Pat, the Dan.
babies. That was bullshit. Everything that they said was a fucking complete. Not only was it a lie, but they committed all those atrocities themselves to the Palestinians and been caught doing it. In fact, they just got caught gang raping Palestinians. How many babies have they killed? All the things that they accuse the Palestinians of, or Hamas of, or whatever, they're guilty of 100-fold themselves.
So you
And they've been doing that. Like October 7th wasn't the start of this. Like the start of this was Nakba. They've done so many
I don't
different.
disagree. Yeah, I don't disagree.
Yeah, so I mean, this is not like, it's not like October 7th is like, it's all of a sudden they just came over
This is
and
an idea.
unsolicited and just killed people. Like they have been.
Real quick, this idea is based as if Jews didn't live in Israel, let's say. Where do you think, like when I say my family is a Jerusalem Jewish family, no, not Ashkenazi. Do I fucking look like a camel jockey, a sand nigger? What are you talking about, Ashkenazi? Okay, so for number one. Number two, believe it or not, there's dark Jews like me. That's a reality. Mediterranean man. I'm actually a Mediterranean man. Yeah. I don't got slick back hair like a good Italian boy, or a boy from, Mallorca, Spain, but I am what I am. All right, but I'm a Mediterranean guy. Now, the Jews, let's look at Nazareth. Let's look at Bethlehem. I could walk to Bethlehem from where my family's from in Jerusalem. What do you think? They weren't there in the Bible? Where do you think these stories happen? How can we say the Jews weren't there? All Jews came from Poland. That's funny. I didn't know that. So Moses came from Poland. Jesus was born in Warsaw, Krakow. Give me a fucking break. Really? Give me a break. Shout out to the American evangelical community. Shout out to the American Christians. Shout out to good American patriots like Dan Bilzerian. Shout out to, look at the Trump family. Look at a lot of American patriots. Look at Charlie Kirk. Look at all these American patriots that are speaking up. Most Americans which have helped and support the state of Israel. No, this is not a Zionist. Someone's going to say, in the chat, this is a Zionist is talking. Okay, you guys say Zionist like it's this bad word. It's like a white guy saying, I'm white. Okay, is he wrong for saying he's a white guy? White man says, I only want to marry a white woman. I only want to marry a blonde with blue eyes. Okay, cool, dog. You got that right. You got that right. No, there's nothing wrong with being a white guy with blonde hair, blue eyes. You can be proud of that. White lives matter. Do Jewish lives matter? You got to ask yourself that. I would have married a Lebanese woman. They look beautiful. I happen to marry a German woman. I would have. Fuck yeah, I would have. Hazel eyes, olive skin, dark hair. Shit. Some nice pair of tits, religious, or not even, religious ideally. Beautiful Lebanese women, Arabs. I'd have married a Lebanese. But I didn't. Did I? Married a German, an Aryan. My wife's birth certificate has the Nazi logo on it. I was the first American on her family's land since World War. Let's get into it.
Killing Palestinians for years and years, operating two sets of justice. It's like they have the justice for the Palestinians and the justice for the Israelis. And if you read the Talmud, if you're not Jewish, you're basically not a human. You're like cattle. If a Jew is killed by, somebody that's not Jewish, then it's the death penalty. If a Jew kills somebody that's not a Jew, then, you can't kill them. It's not the death penalty. Like they literally segregate in their Bible.
I want to clarify to all the Gentiles and the Goyim that are looking. Okay. I have studied with a rabbi. I've been to Israel more than once, twice. I want to go back this winter. Beautiful country. I encourage all of you to go. It is legitimately one of the most beautiful countries in the world. And yes, I'm biased. This idea of what the Talmud is, I want to explain to you what is the Talmud. Because people talk about the Talmud all day. They talk about the Talmud. They talk about the Talmud. They disrespect the Talmud. Oh, the Jews, they read the Talmud and they get together every Wednesday at 1:00 and they meet. Oh, look at Nima's nose. Nima's nose. He's a Jew. Okay, I'm also Iranian. A lot of my family's Muslim. Unlike some of you, I'm not a bigot. I'm not hating the Muslims. I don't agree with the fanatics that destroyed Iran's country. Yeah, my family fled Iran. My granddad's middle name was Muhammad. He married a Jewish woman whose family was Cohen. Married a woman who might have Nazi ancestry. How about that? There were Jews that lived in my neighborhood who were sent to extermination camps. Let's look at what Trump said. And then we're going to go right back to this Dan Bilzerian thing. And then we're going to go into what the Talmud is. I promise.
We will deport the foreign jihad sympathizers, and we will deport them very quickly, and Hamas supporters will be gone. If you hate America, if you want to eliminate Israel, then we don't want you in our country. We really don't want you in our country. I will ban refugee settlements from terror-infested areas like the Gaza Strip, and we will arrest the pro-Hamas thugs who vandalize federal property and make really life very, very difficult in this country for a lot of people.
What happened to that? What happened to Americans being like, we don't want our, let's go back to the Dan Bilzerian thing too. But the thing is what happened to Americans saying, oh, we're against fanaticism? What happened to 9/11? What happened to what happened in the Pentagon? Oh, no, all of a sudden, the college protesters, the gays are for these people that kick them off, throw them off a fucking building. The gays, the women, the feminists have all of a sudden said it's the Jew. It's the Jew. I'm probably the only fucking Jew here in Bochum, Germany for a fucking kilometer. But it's the Jew. What happened on 9/11? The dancing Israelis. Where? How about all the Palestinians that were dancing? But let's talk about the Talmud. We're going to get into the Talmud because this guy's going to go back into the Talmud. Let's look at what else. Shout out to Trump. Shout out to Trump, 2024, saving our country. I'm not telling you who I'm voting for, but I'm just saying, not for nothing. What do we go? Do you think October 7th would have happened if we didn't have Trump? You think they're going to respect Kamala? Honestly, in the chat, we got over 2,700 people here. Obviously, YouTube is going to maybe give me 20 people. Most of that's coming from X or Rumble, obviously, because obviously YouTube's not going to suppress this. Of course, they suppressed the whole fucking thing. I didn't even put it on Instagram. Didn't even put it on Instagram. They fucking suppress. It's not even worth it. I'm not even taking a fucking break for a few weeks or so from Instagram, posting anything. It's a fucking complete waste. All right, let's look at what Trump says. We're going to get into Talmud, and we're going to get into what Dan Bilzerian's real motive is, because he hates me because I figured him out. Dan Bilzerian hates me for more than one reason. That's personal between me and Dan. Dan also doesn't like when I called him out for that fraud situation, those accusations of fraud would ignite in 2020 when he made a video on his selfie. Good old Dan, high IQ Dan. Dan, why don't we put $1 million on the table, see who got a higher IQ? Why don't we put $1 million cash up, see who got more liquidity in the bank? You fuck. All right, let's go into this.
Israel is a tiny little spot compared to these giant land masses. It's really a tiny spot. I actually said, is there any way of getting more? It's so tiny.
Shout out to Trump. Shout out to Trump. Trump, you are a fucking hero. You are a hero. You are a hero as an American. You are a hero to the people of Israel. You are a hero in England. My Tommy Robinson will call you. My friend Tommy Robinson calls you a hero. He's not lying. Some people might say, oh, but did you know Tommy Robinson did X, Y, and Z? I'm not talking about that. I'm going to talk about what I know about Tommy Robinson. I spoke on June 1st. Yes, the people in England are dealing with fanaticism the same way the people in Israel are. England is a beautiful country with culture, tradition, civilization that wants to be respected. Look at all the things the Israelis have done for the Arabs, and they spit in our face. Look at all the things the English have done for these Pakistanis, and they get spit in the face. Let's go back to Dan Bilzerian's lies.
Themselves. I don't think anybody can debate that. I don't think it's a
Well, it's not the problem isn't that they're protecting themselves. The problem comes when you think that you're better than other people, and you think it's okay to lie to anybody that's not a Jew. You think it's okay to steal from people that are not a Jew. You have two sets of standards. The problem with that is it allows you to rationalize anything.
I cringe at this motherfucker's lies. My best friends, out of 5 of my best friends, let me think. 5 of my best friends. I'm 43. I'm going to be 44 in less than 3 weeks. I'm going to be 44 in less than 3 weeks. One of my best friends is Guatemalan El Salvadorian. The other one's a black guy. The other one's a black guy. One's a Dutch guy, Danish, from Kansas. Good old redneck cracker. One of my best friends. Another one's an African. And yeah, I got some Persian Jews. Who cares? My general counsel is a Persian, is a Russian Jew in New York. He's not, but I got other lawyers that aren't Jew. Well, I got one more lawyer that's a Jew, and the other lawyer is an American. The person that acts basically as the CFO of my company is a Hispanic lady. I got more Arabs on my immediate team than I do Jews. My wife is an evangelical Christian German. Her mom and dad are Germans. I'm in Germany. Her dad tells me I'm like his son. I love him like a father. My father-in-law here in Germany said to me in my face in front of a dinner, he said, I'm not sorry for what we did to your people. Looked me in my face and told me this. My father-in-law, German, in Germany, tells a Jew in front of his wife, his daughter, I'm not going to say sorry to you for what my ancestors did to yours. He shouldn't. A white American shouldn't apologize for slavery. A German today should not apologize for the Holocaust that was born in like 1960. Should Iranians apologize for helping Germany that were born in 1980? You think Iran doesn't know terror? You know how many Iranians were in England on June 1st? I was at an historic British event by arguably the guy people say is the next Winston Churchill. Arguably the next Winston Churchill is Tommy Robinson. Arguably. Okay. I was there. I was a speaker. June 1st. Historic British event. You know how many Iranians were there? You know how many Indians were there? You didn't know that, did you? Indians. You know how many people in Nigeria, Christians, are suffering from these fanatics? Oh, you don't want to talk about that. Got it. Let's go back to Dan Bilzerian. Let's go back to good old Dan Fraud.
Human beings are generally self-serving creatures. So if your fundamental religious belief system allows you to operate in such a way that you believe there isn't consequences to stealing from other people, killing other people, raping, kids that are under 9 years old, like if you think those things are okay, then, how are you going to operate? Because to me, like my moral code keeps me on track.
I don't think that's what it is. I don't think it's because you're saying it one-sided. You're not telling the other side of the story on what they're doing either. You're not saying what Hamas did. You're not saying what they did.
What did Hamas do?
I mean, from day one, when you see the rapes and the videos, we've all seen it. This isn't something
What rapes and videos?
But stay on this here if you want to continue with this.
But what rapes and videos?
But my concern when you're saying Israel's doing it, you're saying the other side isn't doing anything?
No, but I'm asking. No, there was no rapes during October 7th. They've shown.
Okay. How much he lies. I have to control myself at the amount of lying that comes out of this degenerate gambler's mouth. People say, oh, Dan Bilzerian made his money through poker. Do you think anyone in the poker world thinks this? Just look at the chat here. Anyone remotely in the poker world, this is Realistic Read, a good American, by the way. Realistic Read says, anyone remotely in the poker world knows he didn't make his money from poker. Think so? I think that's about accurate. By the way, he doesn't mind going into the Jews' casino and making money. Then he comes out of the casino and he spits on the Jew's face. It's funny. Just like Sneeko, gets on his fucking knees. Gets on his knees. Good old Sneeko sucking the dick of Nick Fuentes. Good old Andrew Tate, the street thug in a Romanian warehouse with over 30 allegations of rape and human trafficking. Sucking Nick Fuentes' cock after all the things Nick Fuentes said. I actually stood up for that street thug piece of shit. I stood up for him. And then what did he do? He goes and after all the things Nick Fuentes did, he goes and sucks his cock, basically. It's a joke how much these guys are grifters. All right, look at this. Dan Bilzerian sued. This is Dan Bilzerian, by the way. This is Dan Bilzerian, the moral authority of social media and the West. A degenerate gambler with two women who have basically either pressed charges or sued for violence. Let's go back to that. Dan Bilzerian sued over face kick in Miami. Let's look at the other one. Dan Bilzerian, there was another situation. Another situation here. Dan Bilzerian threw a girl. Dan Bilzerian, roof toss porn star. He should know. I can't fly. I can't fly. No dust. You can't fly, you fucking moron. You take too many fucking steroids in your fucking head, you cock. This is the guy that has the moral authority that's talking about Israel of all countries. This guy, Israel, who's doing among one of the best examples of lowering casualties as much as possible as they're dealing with fanatics on the south, east, and north. Tiny little country, as Donald Trump spec says. And all these people are judging the Israelis. Let's say 250 million Arabs, 5 million Israelis. It's a miracle that Israel is there. It is a miracle that Israel is there. Thank you to the Christians in Germany, the British, the United States, Canada, Europe. Thank you to all our Christian friends. Thank you to our friends in India. And also thank you to the moderate Arabs who also see peace. Thank you to all the Iranians who are suffering in Iran right now from a fanatical regime that has destroyed the country, basically, economically, from the wealthy country it was. A lot of people are on our side. There's over, let's say, 500,000 fake accounts on X, on social media from China, Russia, and Iran. This has been documented. They're making it seem that this is not true. It is. We're winning. The West is actually going to win. Let's look at the video of Dan Bilzerian in Miami at Live. When I was a bachelor, I had a nice night at Live. I'll tell you that. Let's look what he did. Good old Dan. Dan the fraud. Let's look at him.
Oh my God.
Video Dan doesn't want you to see. The video Dan doesn't want you to see. Kicking a girl in the face. Good old Dan. Let's look at the comments here in the chat. Lamar Latrell, what's up, Lamar? Has Israel done anything wrong? I mean, look, no country's perfect. And I'm not saying Israel, you got some bad ones in every bucket. Okay? You do. But Israel has arguably the highest moral authority of any military in human civilization for the way they avoid casualties. I know you don't want to hear that. I know that hurts some of you anti-Semites to hear that. I know it. It stings that I'm not a quiet Jew. It stings when you talk to a tough Jew, doesn't it? It stings. It stings. It hurts you. It hurts your heart because you want me to be a quiet fucking Jew, right? You want the British to be quiet, right? You want the Germans to be quiet. You want the Americans to be quiet. You just want us to bring it all in and take over and destroy the fucking country like you did in Iran. Right? The fanatics. I'm not talking about the moderate Muslims. My grandfather was a moderate Muslim. I'm talking about the fanatics. There are Muslims that are suffering in Iran. Do not take this out on the moderate Muslims. They're victims. They're suffering too. Make no mistake. There are Arab Christians. Make no mistake. My friend, YouTuber, his name is Arab. Christian, Catholic, I think. Good kid. He might be a little bit anti-Semite, but I disregard it. Maybe I got my biases too. All right? Dan the fraud. Dan the fraud. Dan Bilzerian is a renter. And someone else pays his credit card. Source, the Forbes. Pays his credit card. This is the guy. Who's your hero? Let's go back to the Dan Bilzerian video. Shout out to Patrick Bet-David for letting me do my analysis on his lies in his video and letting me use the footage. Shout out to Patrick Bet-David for permitting this, for allowing this. Let's go back to lying Dan the fraud.
From October 7th. They showed no beheaded babies. All that was all bullshit.
I'll send you stuff. No, there's plenty of stories. It's not all of them.
The Israeli articles that I saw recently said that there was only 2 babies killed. One was shot by a bullet and the other one died in a hospital. There was no babies in ovens. There was no beheaded babies. All that was all bullshit.
Okay, so go back to the part when you said they think they're better than you. You believe that Jews think they're better than everybody else.
It says it in their Bible.
Okay, but you believe they're better than everybody else.
It says in our Bible.
I didn't say that.
Hey, you dumb fuck. You dumb fuck. What is our Bible? I got a Torah in my home. I got a German Bible. I got a German Bible in German. My wife's a German. And I have a Bible and I have a Torah in English and Hebrew. I don't have a Talmud in this home. Would I? Yeah, sure. Why not? But I don't. Okay? I don't. I know you think all Jews have a Talmud and we're talking about the cattle. Do I view my wife as a cattle? I would do anything for my wife. I don't cheat on my wife. And I encourage you not to cheat on your wife. I encourage you, do not be a degenerate piece of shit. Do not cheat on your wife. That's adultery. I'm your enemy. I'm your enemy. When I tell you don't cheat on, no, you're a simp. You're a simp. You're a simp. No, I'm not. I worked with fashion models for about a decade in New York City throwing parties. Probably got way more premium pussy than most of you ever will. I mean, I don't know. Maybe I'm wrong. But hopefully you mature as a man. Would you want someone to cheat? Would you want your dad to cheat on your mom? Treat your mom like a whore? No, but that's masculine. Hey, bitch, make me a sandwich. Andrew Tate, rage base, because he's desperate for views. He's desperate. He has to push hate. Oh, hey, bitch, make me a sandwich. Hey, bitch, make me a sandwich. Matrix. Oh, I'm going to escape the Matrix. Oh, the Matrix. Who's the Matrix? It's the Jews. Andrew Tate, low IQ fuck street dog with over 30 allegations of rape and human trafficking. That's your role model? The Arab will say, that's my role model because he hates Israel. The Arab, the Pakistani, that's your role model? When he did all that instigation to the British, threw you under the bus with all those tweets. All of us, but he's still your hero. You know how many people that are Arabs that are disgusted with Tate? Sure, they don't like me, but you think they like him? Shout out to @Murdered Crowns. Shout out to Milk Bar TV. Arguably two of the best accounts on X today that are holding the Tates accountable. I want to emphasize that once more. Look at Milk Bar TV and Murdered Crowns. Yeah, right here. They do great work at looking at what Andrew Tate, and let's look at Murdered by Crowns real quick. This is, if you want to see who Andrew Tate is, just, hey, look at the others. There's always two. Remember, I'm going to say this to the young boys on here, the young men. I'm an old boar. You guys are piggies. Go to Murdered by Crowns on X. Murdered by Crowns on X. And look at what evidence or what information they have to show. Make a decision for yourself. And we can all look at Daddy Coin and the abysmal failure that Daddy Coin is. But don't worry. Andrew Tate will help you out of the matrix if you spend $2,000 to get into his counsel. Someone said, They like him young. Andrew Tate likes him young. Yeah, in my opinion, he likes not only the boys young, he likes the women young, in my opinion. Same with Tristan. Hey, don't say Tristan. Tristan's the nice guy. He plays good cop. No. Andrew plays bad cop. No, Tristan's good cop. Tristan will text you and be nice. Andrew will do the dirty work. I can't control what Andrew does. No. Tristan's nice. I can't go hard because Tristan's nice. No, but Andrew will hit you and stab you in the face. No, but Tristan will say, no, Andrew is innocent. Andrew's innocent. You can play good cop, bad cop. Shout out to a few guys. There's a handful of guys on the Tate team that I respect. I got love for. I do. I got to know him. I met him. And I like him. If I'm guilty of anything, I'm guilty of that. That, believe it or not, Tate does have a few good men on his team. Good people. And just like he probably had some good girls that were OF models. And I just say to the Tate team, in my opinion, Andrew Tate's going to prison. Save yourself. Here's another grifter. Candace Owen. Self-hating black. Just like a self-hating, that comic, what is it, Dave Smith. Self-hating Jew. Self-hating Candace Owen. And their little clique of podcasts. Fuck you and your podcast. You look like a whore when you go on Andrew Tate's podcast and you promote Hustler University, so amazing. Give me a fucking break. You lost all credibility. You like a chicken head at this point. Let's go back to Dan Bilzerian. I don't even want to talk about this chicken head. In New York, we call it a chicken. New York City nightclub, we call a girl like Candace chicken head. Chicken head. Give me a fucking break. No, let's go back to the Dan Bilzerian video, please.
They think.
According to their scripture.
Okay, but what if...
And then if you look at how they operate, right? Like they literally caught people raping Palestinian prisoners and there was riots. But the riots weren't because they were raping the prisoners. The riots were because they felt like they had the right to rape the fucking prisoners. That's why they almost had a fucking civil war, because they felt like they had the right to rape these prisoners. They felt like that was okay because they weren't Jewish. So, you know, when you have a society that operates like that, you're going to have fucking problems. And they're not the fucking most moral army. That's all fucking bullshit. And, you know, everything that they say, it's just like almost like, listen, when somebody lies to me, like if you lie to me, I'm not probably going to trust you again. You lie to me a second time, I'm definitely not going to trust you. You lie to me a third time, and I let you lie to me the third time, I'm the fucking idiot. These motherfuckers have lied like 10,000 times. So, like, I don't believe anything they say anymore.
I come from a place of, I don't sit here expecting you to tell me 100% the truth. I don't sit here thinking, yeah, Dan's going to tell me 100% the truth with whatever he has in his life. I don't expect that from you because I don't expect people to walk on water. That's not my expect. I'm going to live my life. I'm going to live it with my life, but you can't think that China's going to tell us the truth, or Iran tells us the truth, or US tells everybody the truth, or you think any country is going to tell us 100% the truth.
But I don't know, man. I got a different moral code. Like in gambling,
It's not about
but in gambling and business, like with my friend group, like you lie one time, you welch on a debt, you do one
You're
thing.
talking friendship, though.
I'm just saying, my friends, people that I know, people that I do business with, people I gamble with, like
it's the same thing I have as well. It's the same thing most people have. There's a difference between on the personal side than on the countryside. So you're America first. Is it fair to say you're America first? Okay. How do you feel about the protesting and the rioting going on in schools, academia, Harvard, Columbia, when you've seen all the stuff that's going on, Free Palestine, Gays for Gaza, when you see that, what do you think about it? Does it do anything to you, or you're like, let me support them?
I mean, I think it's pretty funny that it wasn't a problem until it was against Israel. It wasn't a problem with BLM. It was fucking encouraged with BLM.
It was always a problem with
Bullshit.
BLM.
They fucking encouraged it. They let them burn down police stations. There was no repercussions.
I'm not talking mainstream.
No, I'm talking about our government, our media encouraged that shit, right? They encouraged it when it was BLM. Like, they literally burnt down police stations and it was fine. The mayor came out and was like, no problem, no arrests, no big deal. We don't give a fuck.
Right.
Take down statues, destroy buildings, burn cop cars, do whatever you want to do. But the moment it was Israel, now all of a sudden,
why do you think
students
they were okay
get
with that?
The shit beat out of them. They get arrested. They get pepper sprayed. They get fucking maced. And those are peaceful protests. BLM was not peaceful, but it was fine because it wasn't criticizing Israel. What does that tell you?
Let me ask you a question.
Well, we'll answer that. What does that tell you? Who's in charge here?
But you're talking to a guy that I'm not sitting here saying what BLM. I'm talking to you like you and I. I'm not talking to you with $2-3 billion of damage they did to small business owners in communities that African Americans are living in, and who controls mainstream media. And there's only 2 outlets right now. We're talking to a couple of your friends here that were during lunchtime. We're having a conversation while we're having dinner with who controls mainstream media. The left. The only one that's on the right is one. Okay, and that's also going to the left. Who controls CNN, CBS, ABC? That's left. Who controls universities? Left. Who controls schools?
Well, it's like 90-something% Jewish.
Right. So
we could say left, but it's
I would
Jewish.
I would like to say, when he talks about Jewish, like if the Jews were controlling media, like he says, why would you see so much bad news about the Jews in Israel on all these media platforms? I mean, give me the fucking rest. Like, this is not like when is the last article you read in CNN, MSNBC, that said Israel never did anything wrong and they're perfectly innocent? Give me a fucking break. Come on. It's ridiculous. Yep, look at this guy in the Rumble. He says, yep, just blame the Jews for everything because it's so easy. You don't even have to think about it. Yeah, exactly. Let's go back to this. We're about to get into what Dan Bilzerian's, we're about to get towards the part of what Dan Bilzerian is and what his motivation is. You're going to be amazed. Some of you are going to be amazed at what his motivation is, in my opinion. Go ahead.
Honest.
Not necessarily, because even right now, if you think about it, if you think about the right and the left, okay, who's taking the biggest hit with losing Jewish voters? Because most Jews vote left. They're not voting on the right.
Jewish vote is irrelevant. They're like 2% of the population.
But the money that they vote with their money.
I mean, yeah, but like at the end of the day, I think how much money goes into these campaigns isn't going to dictate as much as when you have a president that's like potentially getting assassinated. Like those are the drivers. I mean, Kamala Harris is a drunken school teacher. Like she can't even like formulate a coherent sentence. I mean, I don't know. The idea of voting for her just seems crazy. My biggest criticism of Trump is his support of Israel. I mean, aside from that,
why do you think he's supporting Israel?
Because of money. That's why they all fucking support Israel.
I don't think so. Anybody in New York, any of you, if you are in New York, Trump has had friends that were Iranian Jews, Persian Jews, Syrian Jews, New York real estate. I don't know if many of you are familiar with New York real estate. You got a lot of Jews. You do. European Jews, Iranian Jews, Syrian Jews. And Trump was legitimately friends with Jews before he was president. I know that this might be something that triggers some of you, but not everyone supports Israel because they're getting paid or they're being indoctrinated. Believe it or not, a lot of people just don't want the country to look like Afghanistan. They actually would rather go to Israel than go to Afghanistan. I realize that some of you cannot accept that. I know Jake Shields would rather. I know it's Sneeko, Jake Shields, Nick Fuentes, and you know what they would do to his gay. These 3 gays at the lunchbox, at the school cafeteria, the gay table. Jake Shields, Nick Fuentes, Myron from Fresh and Gay, very popular podcast. You can go on YouTube, Fresh and Gay, Myron Gaines. This homosexual, closet homosexual, Myron, Nick Fuentes, and Sneeko. And what do you think they would do to them in Afghanistan? Isn't it ironic that they're not actually supporting Israel? It's like the liberals and the women and the gays that are promoting Palestine. I don't get it. I mean, Nick Fuentes arguably is a Fed. It's sort of odd how January 6th, nothing happened. My friend Milo fired him like a dog. The episode, shout out to Milo. I was at Kanye West's, actually it was his bedroom. Now it's Milo's office in Los Angeles, in South Central LA. It's on my Rumble page. I encourage you to see it. See what Nick Fuentes really is. Shout out to Jaden O'Neill. He'll tell you. Jaden O'Neill knew Nick. Isn't it odd? Nick Fuentes didn't go to jail or prison. All those other people did. They don't want you to know about that. They don't. Let's go.
Well, he wants money. I mean, these politicians are I mean, there's two reasons to run for president.
Right.
Because you're a good person and you want to do good.
Okay.
Or because you want fucking money.
Sure.
And fame. That's it. It's the only reason somebody would join
a
president.
good person,
Or you want money and fame.
And fame.
That's it.
Two reasons why you run.
Why else would you
Why
run
do you
for
think
president?
Trump's reason is?
Money and fame.
You think he wants money and fame?
100%.
You think Trump's running because he wants money and fame?
100%.
He has money. He is famous.
He wants people to love him. He wants attention. I mean, he was doing like reality shows for Christ's sakes. Like he wants more money.
I totally get it. But you think he is more, he is, how much you think it matters for Trump to be liked?
I think he wants people to like him.
Okay.
Yeah.
So if that's the case, he should have never ran because ever since he ran, people don't like him.
I get it. Well, I mean, but the fame is like that. I mean, fame is polarizing. Like,
There's a big difference,
there's very few people that become famous that don't have people hate them. I mean, it comes with the territory. Like, if you want to be loved, you're going to be hated as well. It's just, that's the way.
In 2014, he could have been invited to Beyonce and Jay-Z's party in 2014. In 2014, he would have been invited to, with NAACP. In 20, he went to everything. So
one thing to be invited to parties, another thing to have international status and legacy, and I mean.
So the reason why I brought the money side with Jews. So who do you think the recent event with October 7th hurt more, the left or the right, politically?
October 7th? What do you mean?
Israel, Hamas, like this whole back and forth. Which political party you think has lost more, taken a bigger hit with their position they've taken with the Jews?
I mean, they're both pro-Israel. So I don't think it's a left against the right when it comes to Israel. And that's like what people think is like, but it's just a distraction. Like they're both pro-Israel. They're both, I mean, fucking Biden's giving Israel shitloads of money. Like, what do you mean? Trump's going to give shitloads of money. Trump's going to fucking go to war with Iran. What are you talking about? They're both fucking.
You think Trump's going to go to war with Iran?
He said he's going to.
No, it's his way of saying to not go to war.
He said he's going to.
The same way he said with everybody else that he was going to push them. Or more didn't happen. He said,
I mean, I don't know. I feel like he said that he was going to.
So then let me ask you, so who would you vote for today? It doesn't sound like you're voting for anybody.
I mean, if I had to choose between those two, Trump for sure. I don't even think it's close. I mean, Kamala's.
I will say that, and I'm not saying who I'd vote for. It's none of your business. But I will say this is a rare Dan Bilzerian W. Maybe Dan Bilzerian and I have something in common here. Maybe with a degenerate gambler, I have actually one thing in common. Maybe. I'm not telling you who I'd vote for. Shout out to Bo Loudon, who close to the Trump family, did my last stream. Shout out to Rumble. All right, let's go.
And she pushes, all this woke left ideology. It's just nonsense. Like, I mean, she's a fucking complete moron. Not that Trump is like a super genius either, but like light years past her. I mean, she was like one of the most hated people. Like how she even got the fucking nomination is beyond me. Like how they didn't give it a big mic is crazy. Like
you ever heard of? You're so funny. You ever heard of eugenics?
Eugenics?
Eugenics. Eugenics. You ever heard of that?
What's that?
Okay. You ever seen MIT stats showing that Ashkenazi Jews' IQ is the highest IQ in the world? You ever heard about that or not?
I believe it. It's up there. Yeah. Yeah. I've seen the IQ studies. Yeah.
So what do you think about that? The fact that they have a higher IQ. How do you process that information?
What do you mean?
You have a pretty high IQ, right?
Okay,
I mean, I don't know what the score is. I've seen some. What's this? I've read it multiple different places. What's the score you've got?
I don't know. I mean, I was in the 99th percentile when I was in 8th grade and got accepted to Duke on a scholarship. I mean, I've tested okay. I'm a smart guy.
Okay,
I get it,
but do you think the part about like, okay, I'm a Syrian and I
want to say one thing
and
here. Like, first of all, I'm not an Ashkenazi. I'm a dirty dark Jew, but a Jerusalem Jew. So maybe I'm like a second class Jew, in Israel, and but I empathize with the Arabs because I look like an Arab. and Arabs are our genetic cousins. You know, I'll tell you why I think Jews are successful. There might be some innate competitive edge. True. But that aside, there are plenty of good basketball players in Harlem. There are plenty of good basketball players in Atlanta, Georgia. Doesn't mean they go to the NFL, play soccer in the Bundesliga in Germany or the Premier League. Why do I think Jews are successful? As a Jew who's, let's just say, somewhat successful, hard work, creativity, persistence, being known for integrity. I think when a Jewish businessman is known for integrity, honest dealing, being a good leader, that helps you get good people. And I think many Jewish businessmen are known for being fair. Do I think the bot accounts on X will do that? Say that to you? No. But I think when you look at many of the most successful businesses that are getting the most talented workers, I think it's fair to say that they're good to their teams. They take risks. Most of the billionaires are not Jews. Just for the record, Elon Musk is not a Jew. Jeff Bezos is not a Jew. In fact, we could look at the Forbes richest people in the world list. Should we? Should we look at the Forbes list of the richest people in the world and see how many are actually Jews? Let's look. Look at this guy. Who's Sandro Vernozzi? He's not a Jew. I don't know, maybe. Danera Kulbevi. Does that look like a Jew? Tamir Kolbavov. Luis Carlos. Ipak Sarak. Eugene Murtagh. Chin Hu. Yeah, these are... Hal Jackman is a Jew. Give me a fucking break. Is there even one Jew here? Edwards. That's a Jewy name. Is there even one Jew here? This list of... Oh, okay, let's look at this. Let's look at this. Elon Musk's not a Jew. Jeff Bezos is not a Jew. Don't tell Smiko this, because he thinks you can't be successful. He wants you to believe you can't be successful. Nick Fuentes wants you to believe you can't be successful because it's me. And the other Jew named Moshe. We're stopping you. You think Elon Musk let a Jew stop him? You think Jeff Bezos let a Jew stop him? Mark Zuckerberg. Okay, he's a Jew. Let's go ahead. Bernard Arnault. That's not a Jew. Larry Ellison. Jew. Warren Buffett. That's not a Jew. That's a good old American. Larry Page. That's not a Jew. Bill Gates. Come on. Come on. That's not a Jew. Sergey Brin, Steve Ballmer. Okay, Jew. All right, let's go down the list. Aminicio Ortega. That's not a Jew. Ambani. That's not a Jew. Jensen Hung. That's not a Jew. Michael Bloomberg. Jew. Michael Dell. Oh, one more Jew. Jim Walton's not a Jew. Carlos Slim's an Arab in Mexico. An Arab. Rob Walton's not a Jew. Benton Court is not a Jew. Maybe Myers is a Jew. Walton isn't a Jew. You know how many people aren't Jews? Look at all these people that aren't Jews. Adani's not a Jew. Coach is not a Jew. Thompson's not a Jew. Coach is not a Jew. Prangango is not a Jew. Jinping King is not a fucking Jew. Colin Hung is not a Jew. Zhong Xinan is not a Jew. Giovanni is not a Jew. Xing Yiming is not a Jew. Look at all these people that aren't Jews. All right, we're done with this fucking list. There's not that many people that are Jews. So what's stopping you? I'll tell you, as a Jewish man, grow the fuck up. Work hard. Most of the successful people in the United States are white men. Christian. Making money. They don't need my approval. They don't give a fuck what I think. They didn't ask me permission. They just made money, worked hard. Most of the Europeans that are billionaires are not Jews. Grow the fuck up. Most of the billionaires in India and China are not Jews. Grow the fuck up. Most of the Arabs in the UAE, in Saudi, that want a good relationship with Israel are not Jews. They're Arabs. Grow the fuck up. Let's go back to Dan Bilzerian. I know maybe I start doing a rap song about the Jews. You know what I mean? You know what I mean? Let me loosen up a little bit with this water. I'm sober. You should have seen me when I was drunk. When I used to drink back in the day. Now I'm a sober guy. I'm 43. I'm a middle-aged man. I'm turning 44. You know what I mean? I got a wife. I got kids. You know, I'm no longer in New York. You know what I mean? I'm here in Germany, Deutschland. Bochum, Deutschland. Ich lerne Deutsch. Ich bin American. Let's go.
I'm in, living in America. Armenians, try bring them together.
Shout out to the Armenians. Shout out to Patrick David. Shout out to the Armenians. Shout out to my boy Mika getting married finally next month in France. Can't wait to see you. I miss you. Huh? Let's go, Armenia. Come on. Shout out to Patrick David again, letting me use this shit. Let's go back to this. Who's a Christian? Let's go.
About that. Go to Glendale, buddy.
No, I lived in Glendale for 6
What do you mean? They're pretty. Every Armenian that I ever meet is like, bro, you're Armenian. It's like, I have seen.
The pride is right.
I've seen more Armenian pride than any other.
Yeah, but you're talking, these guys are coming to you. You have different types of Armenians, right? And even right now in Armenia with what they're going through with, Pashinyan and some of the political stuff. You were there in 2018 with your brother and your dad when you guys went there and got your citizenship. But Assyrians, they're divided. It's the older, the church, the club, the this, the that. You can't unite these guys together, right? The closest thing I'll say with Jews, the level of unity that they have is Muslims and Mormons. Mormons are super united. Muslims are super united. And Jews are super united. That's one part that they have the edge. But then if you look at their IQ and somebody's IQ.
Let me just say, and I say this respectfully to Pat. Pat, I got love for you, man. We like Persian poetry. We love Iran. You look like, we're about the same age, but you do look like my uncle. And we're about the same age, but I want to say to you, as one Iranian American to another, okay? Not all Jews stick together, man. Have you seen Aiden Ross say, Nima, come on the pod? No, Aiden Ross is like a self-hating Jew, just like that comic Dave Smith, self-hating Jews. Self-hating Jews. Have they helped me? I remember once I did a real estate deal. Hurt me. And the deal was going to close on a Saturday in New York. My client was a Jew. The other broker was a Jew. I said, I'm not going to work on Saturday. And I'm not that religious, but I wasn't going to work on Saturday. And I said, you know what? I'm safe. These are Jews. Right? I'm a Jew. They're Jews. They did the deal. I got cut. I didn't get my commission as an agent. Later down the line, he offered me something. I guess he found out I knew the same rabbi. Hurt me. So I made more money with a Chinaman than I have with some Jews in the past 2-3 years. I do business with an Indian. I do business with Arabs, with Americans. All Jews stick together. You see me get suppressed off Instagram, banned off TikTok. One of the biggest owners of TikTok is a Jew. Why is my account gone since 2022 with over 784,000 followers? Oh, but the Jew helps me. The Jew helps me that I've been suppressed on Instagram all 2023. I had one video on X do 25 million views. I just had a video do 2.8 million views on X about 8 days ago. Or no, 5 days ago or something like that. I haven't had one video on my Instagram page the whole year over hit at 1 million. And that's a Jew. I think even Masari's a Jew. Maybe. Who knows? But the Jews help each other? I think a lot of Jews snake each other. That's a fucking myth. Oh, we all work together. How the fuck do you know that? Why am I not in that club? Oh, Nima, because you're mixed, because you're not a real Jew. The real Jews, the Ashkenazi. You can't win with these fucks. Let's go back to this one. Good.
Who's hired, they're generally going to make better decisions in business if that is correct, right? If IQ is correct.
Is that where so you think that that 6 out of the 10 richest people in America are Jewish? You think it's just IQ related?
You think they started off with money when they started creating their wealth?
I think if you look at college admissions and you look at how many Jews get admitted versus how many whites, they lump themselves in, in a separate category. And 75% of college, what is it? 75% is Jewish.
Of what? Admissions?
I
don't know the exact
college executives. What Ivy League?
The number I have is, in the world, there's 267 Jewish billionaires. That's 10% of all the billionaires, while they're only 0.2% of the world, right? So that's a 5% overrepresentation in America.
Wait, you're saying they're 2%? They're not 2% of the world. They're 0.02. If
that's
that,
what I said, 0.2.
No, they're not. I think it's 0.02.
If you do 9 billion, they have roughly 15 million people.
Okay.
So 0.2% of 8 billion is like 16 million, and that's what they have.
Okay.
0.2%.
Yeah, not 2%.
No, we're saying the same thing. We're saying the same thing. So in U.S., 132 Jewish billionaires out of 756. 17% of billionaires in America are Jewish.
Mm-hmm.
Did that happen accidental? Is that because they work together? Is that a bad thing? Is that something where, it's kind of like saying, when Tom Brady was playing in the NFL, the guy was freaking hated. It's like, oh, Deflategate, or this, or they did this, or they did that.
I don't care that like 90% of sports are black or whatever the fucking statistic is. I don't give a shit if Jews have all the money. I really don't care. I don't care if they run Hollywood. Like, my issue is like culpability with the people that are pushing these fucking bullshit narratives. The media is mostly Jewish, and the media is pushing this fucking DEI.
Yeah.
They're pushing this trans bullshit. They're pushing they push the COVID fucking shit, right? So all I'm saying is I want you to be responsible for what you're in charge of. I don't care if it's the purple people in charge of the banks. I don't care if it's the fucking green people in charge of the fucking media. No, but dude, hear me out. I don't care who the fuck it is. I'm saying if the media is the green people and they're pushing COVID and they're pushing DEI, they're pushing transgenderism and they're pushing racism and they're pushing division and they're pushing a degradation of fucking moral fiber, I'm mad at the green people, right? You see what I'm saying? I don't give a shit who it is. I'm saying who is in charge should have some responsibility.
I see it in a different way. Here's how I see it. So I see it as, when I'm coming up, I had my friends, I'm in the insurance game and I'm making $100,000 a year, and it would say, oh my God, look at those guys. All they care about is this, and they help each other out, these different insurance companies. I'm like, yeah, how about we figure out a way to do the same? No, but they have this, and it was almost like a little bit of from a place of victimhood. Like, look what they're doing. I'm like, okay, let me continue. So I grow, then I get to the next level. I'm making a little bit more money, and now I'm in different meetings. So go at every level, Dan, my experience, I may be wrong, and challenge me as much as you want and say, rip it apart, the argument that I have.
Yep.
So while you're making 6 figures, you're in a room with 50 other guys making 6 figures, right? You know which guy that's at 6 figures that's going to go to $250,000, and you know which guy's going to get stuck at 100,000, and you know which guy's going to go down because he got lucky. Maybe he landed a big insurance sale that paid him $60,000. You could filter those guys out. You go to $250,000, you saw the same thing. You know who's going to go next level, who's going to stay, who's going to go down. $1 million, 10 million, 50 million, at every, even $1 billion on who's going to go. Like, Elon's probably not going to slow down. But between Elon and Bezos, guess who's probably going to slow down if you chose those two? You may say Bezos. They're both worth a couple $100 billion. They have more money than many countries have. But at every level, eventually somebody stops, right? And some continue at every level. This is in basketball, sports, poker, you name it. I had a big $1 million thing. I'm happy I walk away. To me, the part of it that I see when I'm talking within my community, I'm a guy that in my house, I have a 15-foot painting in my house. When you come to Florida, if you ever do, I'll show it to you. In the middle of it, you know who it is? The Shah of Iran is right in the middle of it. Guess who was the biggest against the Jewish Zion media empire? Guess who was the biggest person that called him out? Him. And what happened to him in 1979? You know what they did to him? They got rid of him in a different way. So you're not talking to a guy that is Jewish or pro this or pro that. For me, I want to see what caused them to go from where they were at to having the kind of wealth that I have today. Can that skill set be transferred to others? The part that you and I can criticize is what they do with all the power that they have today. We can criticize that all day long. You know, they run media, they run CNN, they do this, and they all tell everybody, you better say this, or you better say that. The Soros, the Bond, Bronfman, all these guys. You can criticize that all day because now you have the power. What do you do with the power? But my interest is, what caused them to get all this money? It's not like one day they woke up, they found something, and the next thing you know, they're doing this. How did they get all this power and this money that they made? Was that pure luck? Was that accidental?
I mean, depends on what field you're talking about. I mean, I think when you kind of stick together and when BlackRock, their execs are 100% Jewish.
There's no really sticking together, folks. I mean, we're about to, finish this stream, but I didn't, thank you everybody. I didn't think we'd have over 3,300 between X and Rumble. I didn't think that. That's pretty fucking amazing, honestly, on a Saturday night. But I just want to say that, and over an hour and a half in, I just want to say, I don't like this idea that we're like, I lived with roommates. Okay. I did not have much money when I started my business. And, now I can say, I've done millions of dollars of business but I failed a lot. And I didn't achieve success really until my 30s, and I failed a lot. And even in my 30s, there was a point where I was sleeping on a sofa. I was reading all these books in New York City. And I remember pretty vividly in the Lower East Side of Manhattan thinking, how come I'm not successful? I know I'm smart. Why do I keep failing? Why am I working as a nightclub promoter? Why am I not achieving success in real estate? No one helped me, man. There are a lot of wealthy Jews. They may talk to me. They may, give me some advice, but no one gave me a check. I had one Jew, Persian Jew, help me. He once, after like 2-3 months of working with him, gave me like $1,000 or something. He gave it to me as a gift. And could you imagine how embarrassing that was? We were in our 30s. And I knew him from college, when I was in college, or when he was in college. He did it more of a charity. So this idea that we just all help each other is a fucking myth. Grow up. Let's go back to it.
So when you only hire Jewish people and you give them preferential treatment, I think it's natural.
Most of my team is not Jewish. Most of my team is not Jewish. It's fucking bullshit. Most of my team is not Jewish.
Race, religion, whatever, to have a higher, success rate when you're banded together and everybody else is divided. And, it seems like America just gets more and more divided by the day. And what would make it easier to conquer a country than to divide it? It's a lot easier, that's why they say divide and conquer, right? Mm-hmm. So in order to rule a country as a small class, you want the country divided. What's happened in the last 4 years? Our country's more divided than it's ever been. It's more racist, it's more divided, it's more fucking angry. Everybody's fucking pulling each other apart.
Yeah, I think it would be safe to say, Dan, low IQ Dan. I think it's safe to say that it's also more anti-Semitic. It's also more Islamophobic. It's also more sexist. It's also more bigotry. It's not like, oh, there's all this division and somehow the Jews are the only ones that are pulling the strings out of the matrix. And by the way, for $14.99, if you click on my link, I'll get you out of the matrix. Join Hustlers University. Actually, I just bought university.com and I'm the biggest university in the world. And if you spend $2,000, you're not only going to get the daddy coin, you're going to be a part of my council. And I'm going to launch the real world. I'm going to make you rich. Let's go.
And the same playbook is happening in the UK. So I look at what is going on in the world and I don't think it is a positive thing. And so that is where, I get upset is because.
But the question is, how did they get the power? How do you think they got their power? because this didn't happen, just 70 years ago. They didn't have a country, whatever the timeline is when they got it, right? How did they all of a sudden go from what happens in Germany, then they get their country, then they're able to move up politically, then they're able to move up in media, then they're able to move up in all these different places with finance and Wall Street? What did they do right? How did they get all this power? They have a lot of power. How did they do it?
I mean, look, I haven't studied Jewish power struggles or how they made their money or anything like that. That's not really,
But you know what I'm asking?
I do. And I don't really have a direct answer for it because I haven't studied it, so I'm not going to guess, but
Yeah, that's the thing. Look at the comment. Look at chat.
yeah.
Let's look at the chat. Let's look at the chat. Someone says he's illiterate. Clearly. Exactly. He's stupid. Bilzerian has no argument. Good job, Pat. Pat, over 3,300 people. I want on the stream right now. We are an hour and a half into this puppy. And I want to tell you, from one Iranian American to another, good fucking job. Because Dan Bilzerian just keeps backing up. We can make a clip of how often this guy just backs up like a low IQ American. Like a low IQ American. Like someone that would be a degenerate gambler who's using someone's credit cards to pay his bills according to Forbes. Like someone that would throw a woman off of a roof. Like someone who would kick a woman in her face. This is your hero? This is your hero? Ask yourself. Ask yourself, is this your hero? This is the moral authority. The moral authority. This is success to you. Being a guy and you're a middle-aged guy with a ton of whores. Women that behave like whores. I don't like to use the word whores because I have a daughter. And I hope every woman that behaves like a whore will one day not be a whore. I encourage you to respect women too. It doesn't make you a simp. You can be masculine and respect women. I have a daughter. I have a wife. When I get off the stream, I can go in the bedroom. I got my wife there. I got my daughter there. Play with her cheeks. Cuddle with her. She's about to be 2 years old. I love her. I'm not going to go home with a bunch of women. I'm home now with a bunch of degenerates. Go to the nightclub tonight. You want your hero guy to go to a casino? Let's go watch this. Let's not act like low IQ Americans, okay? I got people in Europe here. I'm in Europe right now. I'm in Germany. I'm at home in Germany. Let's not act like low IQ Americans. I have people in Europe here. Don't make me look bad being a low IQ American. Have some fucking respect for yourself. We got people in Europe here, okay? They're bad enough they think we're stupid. Bad enough they think we're stupid. They call us stupid Americans here. Bad enough they do that. Don't act stupid in the chat and disrespect me. Don't embarrass all Americans by acting like a low IQ. Okay? Let's go to the video.
I just look at this whole thing of, they're obviously doing really fucking well. I don't know why it's constantly like a victim card thing.
You think it's worth studying?
So obviously we're doing well. So
to see
Dan,
what
what's the problem? So we're going to get into, so Dan's speaking pretty good about the Jews. Now, the Jews are successful. I don't have a problem with them helping each other. But Dan pushes a lot of anti-Semitism. But now you see he's not actually that mean of a guy. Shout out to Dan, not being that mean of a guy. Maybe you're not the sleazy scumbag I think you are. I would love to fucking debate you in your face. I want you to look at me in my eyes, you scumbag piece of shit. You're not going to bully me. Dan Bilzerian. You won't bully me. Your street thug friends, Tristan Tate, Andrew Tate, you guys don't bully me. You'll never bully me. I look at you three like animals that should be locked up in fucking cages. That's how I look at all three of you. Thugs. Thugs. Let's go back into the clip.
Did?
Yeah.
I remember one time I'm in LA, I'm with this guy named David. He owned a dealership, Jewish guy. First time in my life I saw $1 million cash. I'd never seen it before. I just come out of the army. I'm like, hey, how the hell do you guys, Jews, I grew up in Iran, so we have a lot of Persian Jews. How do you guys always make so much money? And he said the most fascinating thing. He said, when one of us makes money, 5 of us makes money. Like, what does that mean? We always do
As a
business
Persian, I just
together.
want to say
We
something.
always
I
go
just
into
want to say,
deals
because I think I do have a little credibility here because there's not that many Persian Jews. As a Persian Jew, I've never heard that saying, but do I think that it's possible that a Persian Jew said that? Yeah. And shout out to Pat for giving this Persian Jew who was successful some advice to him.
together. We're always finding ways to do business together. Do you know from that moment when I was 21 years old, when I started my insurance company at 30 years old, you know why was one of the reasons we never lost the vice president of the company? And I'm in Vegas right now because I got a convention at MGM for this week with 10,000 people there. We give our guys equity. So our guys own the company. So it wasn't like it's my commission. That idea of equity came from that Jewish, dealership guy I met at 21 years old.
Listen, I get it. I mean, good for them. I don't have a problem with that. I don't care if they help each other out and whatever, they band together. My issue is when they fucking put their country ahead of our country, when they're living in our country and they're politicians in our country. And I care when our country is hurt to help their country. That's what I fucking care about. I don't give a shit if they band together. I don't care if they give each other special treatment, whatever. I mean, I'd like to stop hearing about the fucking victim card bullshit every time I fucking turn around, because they're not victims. They're crushing in every fucking category.
To be fair, everybody plays victim. To be fair, everybody plays victim, right? Let's just be honest. Everybody plays victim, not just the Jews. I think. I agree. I think here in Germany, for example, there's a little bit too much emphasis on the Holocaust. I would say that, yes. I think everybody plays victim. Let's just be honest. We're in a victim era. I don't think that's exclusive to Jews. Look at yourself. Look at you. Looking at your phone, looking at your laptop, looking at me. I want you to listen to me when I talk to you. You're going to respect me. You're going to respect me. You're going to respect me when I talk to you. Do I look like a bad guy? Honestly, do I look like a Jew that's hurting you? Do I look like I'm a bad person to you? Have you honestly met a bad Jew out of 10 of them? Were they not just like you? Want to fall in love, start a family, buy a home? Come on, man. Don't be a bigot. You're better than that. You're better than that. All right, let's go back to Dan Bilzerian.
And, and they like constantly refer to the Holocaust when they're the biggest Holocaust deniers on the fucking planet. They deny the Armenian Holocaust, which, like half of my people got wiped out, half of your people got wiped out. They deny that. So I don't think it's right for them to whine about the Holocaust and force feed every single fucking children, all the fucking children and students, this fucking Holocaust narrative and hijack the entire fucking World War II and make it about the fucking Jews when like 85 million people fucking died during World War II. Was it all about the fucking Jews? But they make every movie about the fucking struggling Jews and how they had to fucking endure all this stuff. And yet, they can't recognize the Armenian Holocaust. We lost half our population. They didn't lose half their population, but yet we have to hear about it every fucking movie, every classroom, every museum, nonstop on every show.
But why though? Why
what? Why do they play the victim card so much?
So let me ask you, who made the
hold on. Look what Pat says. Look what Pat says. This is look how this idea goes over Dan Bilzerian's head. Low IQ, steroid induced head.
Armenian genocide?
I don't know who it made it.
Did you ever watch the movie with Christian Bale?
1917?
No, not 1917. The recent one with Christian Bale. I think it's called. If you haven't seen it, you got to watch it. You'd love the movie. But it's called Belief or hang on, Courage, Armenian Genocide movie. What's it called? The Promise. Have you seen it? No. It's ridiculous. I'll send it to you afterwards for you to watch. But The Promise. Do you know who made The Promise?
I don't.
The owner of MGM, Kerkorian. Okay.
Armenian.
He
billionaire.
made The Promise.
Billionaire. Kerkorian was a billionaire. At one point, I think he was the richest person in California, maybe. High school dropout, boxer, OG Armenian, lived till he was like 91. Okay. He was also a pilot. MGM. someone told me this earlier. They were like, they really appreciated that PBD spoke about the Armenian, making a movie about the Armenian genocide, right? So Bilzerian didn't get the point though, did he? Right? Like you see how Bilzerian didn't get the point. He's good with tweets, like low IQ, right? Like him and that street thug in the Romanian warehouse, Andrew Tate, who has over 30 allegations of rape and human trafficking. These street thugs are really good at tweets. When you have a conversation with them, other than people that pander to them, they stop in their tracks. Just like when Piers Morgan embarrassed Andrew on that last one. But then they'll have all these clippers make them look good. Just like here, you're seeing Pat put Dan Bilzerian back. You're looking at this with me. But on X, you're going to see all these fake accounts coming out of Qatar, finance out of Qatar, wherever they're financed from, making Dan look like the hero. But who's promoting Dan as the hero on X? Who's financing these people? Anyway, the ones that made the movies about the Holocaust were Jews. And an Armenian made a movie about an Armenian genocide. It's like this point just flew over his head. Let's go back into it.
Bill, he put $100 million into it. The budget was $90 million. They made $12.4 million is what the movie did. But it's actually a very good movie. It's worth watching. But the point I'm making there is an Armenian created $9 billion of wealth for himself that he could use the money to make the story, to tell the story of what really happened with the Armenian genocide.
I think you're missing the point. It's not about.
And he says
what
that
they
Dan
do in Hollywood
Bilzerian
with their
says
money.
he's missing the point. Fucking too much steroids, Dan. How is he missing the point when you just missed the point? You dumb fuck. Go ahead. You're like a dumb gym rat jock in the locker room. You fuck. Go ahead.
It's about the fact that the government puts this in the school systems.
But why do they put it in the school systems?
Because they're controlling our fucking government.
Why do they control our government?
I don't know, because they assassinate presidents. They assassinated JFK because they have a Mossad operation at fucking Epstein Island. They get blackmailing our politicians. They give hundreds of millions of dollars via APAC. That's why they fucking control the country.
His brother.
Okay, but that's you asked the question. That's why they control the country.
But the point is.
But is that right? Like,
I'm not saying it's
just because they control it doesn't mean that it's like a pat on the back because they're doing it through fucking illegal means.
So, brother, I'm a business guy. So are you. I'm looking for solutions. What is the solution? What's your solution?
The solution for what?
To this challenge here that they're able to make all these movies, tell the stories, put in the schools, put in all this stuff.
That's not my issue. My issue is our support of Israel, and my issue is like Israel's control over our government. That's my problem. It's not these fucking movies. That's like proliferary shit. My issue is that Israel's controlling our government. They have Mossad operations to get dirt on our politicians. They're fucking bribing our politicians. That's my problem. Okay. And they're doing it to the U.S.'s detriment. And they're going to drag us into one more fucking war where we have U.S. citizens dying for fucking Israel. Yeah. As a veteran, you should not want to fucking see that.
I'm not for it.
Iraq was a fucking joke. And we did that because that dumb fucking Netanyahu got in front of Congress, lied out of his ass and said there's weapons of mass destruction when everybody fucking knew there was.
We said it as well, bro.
No.
We said it from him.
Yeah,
no, it's not about it. It didn't come from it. Could have
come. There were a lot
from
of defense contractors that benefited from that as well too. But let's go.
But we did it as well.
He testified in front of Congress.
I remember that
there was weapons of mass destruction. And it was complete fucking bullshit.
But we said it as well. But again, for me, the only thing I'm interested in, everything you're saying, I don't disagree with the things that you're saying. For me, it's what's the solution? Because they're going to continue making money. BlackRock's not going to slow down tomorrow because we're doing this podcast and all of a sudden they're going to say, oh, Dan Bilzerian, you make sense. Guess what? We're going to stop pushing our agenda so much.
For BlackRock, that's for the people, man. BlackRock ain't going to change. They're going to operate in their own self-interest. They're going to push this fucking DEI bullshit. They're going to force all the companies that they fund to push DEI bullshit. The only thing that the people can do is fucking push back, start boycotting this stuff, stop fucking supporting it. And, you ask like what the solution is. I mean, why is Israel even an ally? I mean, why when they shot down a civilian plane, did we just say, that's fine? But when Russia did it...
You mean a ship, the USS?
No, they shot down a commercial airliner that flew over their airspace that had civilians in it. When Russia did that, that was an act of war. Why is there a double standard?
Why do you think?
Because they control our fucking government. I already said it.
But again,
Why do you think?
well, I mean, if you want to find out like what the first thing would happen for this to be stopped, again, solution oriented. If we say what's the first thing, you know what the first thing is? If we stop lobbying, half the shit stops. If the concept of lobbying stops, we had Paul Manafort on the podcast. Yeah, I don't know if you know who Paul Manafort is. Is it Paul Manafort? Anyways, we had one of the bigger lobbyists on the podcast. Him and Roger Stone started it.
Just real quick, so everybody knows. I think maybe Dan Bilzerian made a mistake here. I don't know if he necessarily did that on purpose, but it wasn't a plane; it was a ship, the USS Liberty. So I just want to say that was like, obviously, why would America do that? Why would Israel do something like that? And anyway, we can go back.
Company many years ago, and I said, so what do you think about lobbying? I said, do you think it's a good thing, or do you think?
I think it encourages corruption, is what I think.
I fully agree. But you know what he said? He said the other side is doing it, so we're going to do it. So
Yeah.
if today lobbying stopped, these guys wouldn't have the kind of power that they have today.
The whole system.
Let's just go back to the
That's the
lobbying
problem.
once more, guys. Let's just go back to the lobbying once more. The list of the lobbyists of the 2023. Okay, for all of you that are so obsessed with the little tiny bit of money that Israel is giving, look at that. Open secrets. Look at the biggest countries that are giving money to the United States foreign lobbies. Do you even see Israel in there? I don't. I encourage you to screenshot this. I encourage you to call out the lies. This basically is Nick Fuentes' entire premise of his argument, that America controls Washington, right? But where's America? Where's Israel? It could be 1,000 of you. We have over 3,400 people now looking right now. All of you could screenshot this, and you're still going to be outnumbered by, let's say, 500,000 accounts from countries that hate the United States, that want you to believe that tiny little Israel is controlling this big country called the United States. All right, let's go. Back to Dan.
And government
And we're
just
going to get
gets
into
bigger
the real
and bigger
reason
and
Dan is so hostile to Israel in a few minutes, because we're almost done here. Because we're not going to go, we don't, in about 3 more minutes of this stream, and then I'm going to tell you. Go ahead.
bigger and yeah. I mean, listen, this country was founded because we didn't want to pay 1% fucking tax on tea. Don't forget that.
We were willing to fight for that,
1%.
and now
1% tax on tea. That's why we have this fucking country. Come a long way from there.
what's your point?
My point is that, we should fucking stop putting up with this bullshit, and there should be
I mean, shout out to Pat, bro. Shout out to Pat. What's your point? Like, it's just, this shit is so hairball, It's so hairball. Pat actually had his dad working for a fucking cashier at a dollar store. Dan Bilzerian got a whole lot of money from his daddy, who's a criminal. Let's go.
fucking changes made. Like our politicians are not running our country. We think that they are. They're just not. And
You think it's ever going to change? You think the format's going to change?
I think that when we have our economic crash, that might be a catalyst. I think people are lazy, and I think they're pussies, and I don't think they're going to do jack shit until their way of life is threatened. And I think people will do something. That's what I think. But I think it'll take an economic collapse for anybody to do anything. The government's not going to initiate it. That's for sure.
Well, don't you think an economic collapse would actually benefit them? Would actually benefit the people of power to be able to give more free things during that time, for where people are willing to give up even
They
more
can
control?
inflate, and they will. They'll
Right.
print more fucking money. But that, can't go on forever.
So,
This
so I
like
think-
fairy tale of just like printing and printing money. Like, that doesn't work. I mean, like, let me ask you this. Why do you think the quality of life now is lower than it was 50 years ago, when we have all this technological innovation? We've got the ability to produce things for a lot cheaper cost. We've got the ability to mass scale. Why do you think our quality, where's all the money getting sucked out of? Like, where's all the money going?
If you go on 50 years, you're talking 74.
No.
So are you talking technically? You want a technical answer, or you want just a?
I'm saying, where'd the money go? Well, how did all that money get sucked onto the economy so that we are having a shittier average quality of life than we were 50 years ago?
Well, if you're talking technically, in 1972, when Nixon took U.S. off the gold standard, shit changed because America can print as much money as they want. You couldn't when it was based off the gold standard. So the recklessness started after 72. So if you're talking that's that part. Because now we can just do what? Hey, you know what? What do we need to pay off? Print another $1 trillion. Print another $4 trillion. Print another $6 trillion. It's okay.
Exactly.
And by the way, just so you know, the more money they print, guess who makes the money? You know what the money goes up to? The people that have businesses.
Yeah, I mean,
But if you're asking a technical question, that's where the wild, wild west started. Where typically it's like, okay, hey, Dan, can I get $100,000? Yeah, here's collateral. Okay, cool. I got it. $120,000 watch, shit hits the fan. I can sell this, no problem. Mm-hmm. This was gold. All right. What's collateral now? I got you, bro. You're good.
I get it.
Okay, so I just want to say here real quick, when they're talking about Israel, basically Dan Bilzerian, like we're giving all this money to Israel, even with like a lot of the military equipment, you could say that a lot of it is actually purchased by Israeli dollars. It may be financed by the United States, but Israel is still spending money to purchase this military equipment. And jobs are created in the United States. I mean, I realize a lot of you may not realize this, but America is pretty big, you could say, in the defense sector. Maybe I'm wrong. You could Google it, fact check me. So there are jobs that are created. Now, Dan Bilzerian said something about the Talmud. And I'm going to tell you what the Talmud is. And then I'm going to tell you my theory on why Dan Bilzerian is so hostile to Israel all of a sudden. Okay? So what is the Talmud? Anti-Semites are often claiming that every Jewish religious text is a part of the Talmud, the way, Bilzerian was saying that it's part of like our Bible. And they're using this misconception to cherry pick quotes from obscure medieval texts to push this hateful narrative. The Talmud is actually a vast, complex compilation of Jewish law, theory, ethics, philosophy, and history, and not a single text, okay, or a collection of random statements. Now, I doubt many of these individuals have the slightest understanding of what the Talmud actually is. And instead, they misuse fragments of information to promote their baseless, hateful, conspiracy theory, and dangerous ideas. Most Jews, you could argue, don't even know what is inside the Talmud or what it actually is. It's not a law book. It's not a rule book. It's not it's sort of like a guide to live life. It's a philosophy. It's a commentary. And it's way more complex. It's a mix of debates, you could say rabbinical discussions, and, like interpretations of ideas with these Jewish scholars that spans over decades, centuries. And that's what the Talmud is. Now, you could cherry pick and find evil things in the Talmud, but can you not do that with the Quran for the Muslims? Could you do that with the Bible? Is that idea exclusive to the Talmud? So if a Muslim says to you, yeah, but it's in the Talmud. The Talmud is a commentary. That's not our Torah. Would the Muslim also be held to the same accountability if you said, what about your Quran? And what does it say? Or a Christian with the Bible? I mean, I just think that to cherry pick like that is not fair. And the idea is that a lot of people that are Jewish don't even know what a Talmud is. And that's just a fact. I know you guys, some of you guys, no matter what I say, will believe what I just said. But that's a fact. And now I'm going to go into, exactly why I think Dan Bilzerian, we'll go back to Dan Bilzerian real quick. Why I think Dan Bilzerian is really pushing this anti-Israel rhetoric. And it's pretty simple why I think this. Let's go. Let's first look at who Dan Bilzerian's dad is. On the Wikipedia. Let's see here. Okay, so this is Dan Bilzerian's dad. His name is Paul Bilzerian. Okay, he's an Armenian. Let's look at it. Bilzerian was born in Miami, Florida, but came out of Worcester, Massachusetts. I've been to Worcester. Worcester's a nice place. I like Worcester. All right. He would later describe himself as a juvenile delinquent. We're talking about Dan Bilzerian's daddy. Now let's go all the way down, though. Okay, let's look at that. Let's look at the civil part. We're talking about Dan Bilzerian's daddy. After Bilzerian was convicted, the SEC filed a civil lawsuit against Bilzerian based on identical charges to force him to disgorge the profits from the takeover attempts. Bilzerian claimed that this was double jeopardy, as he had already been punished once for exactly the same conduct. Ooh, good old Dan. In 1993, a federal judge ruled in favor of the SEC and ordered Bilzerian to disgorge $33.1 million of profits plus interest. The total amount to be disgorged was thus $62 million. In January 1994, Bilzerian also filed an appeal against the civil judgment in the Court of Appeals for the District of Columbia. However, the court rejected his civil appeal as well. The U.S. Supreme Court ruled in Kukash versus SEC 137 SCT 16 blah 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 that disgorgement is a penalty which presumably would mean the Court of Appeals should have granted Bilzerian appeal on double jeopardy grounds for being punished twice for the same crime. In June 2020, Supreme Court ruled in lieu versus Securities and Exchange Commission that the Securities and Exchange Commission may seek and obtain disgorgement from a court as equitable relief for a securities law violation. Due to the size of the disgorgement, judgment against him, Bilzerian first filed for bankruptcy in 1994. This is Dan Bilzerian's daddy. But this is where it gets unique. Bilzerian emerged from that bankruptcy having disgorged all his non-exempt assets and settlement of debts that mostly consisted of claims by the government. In 1999, Dan Bilzerian's daddy tried to put his house up for sale in the prestigious Avila neighborhood of Tampa, Florida. Rich kid, Danny, rich kid. After the SEC basically pursued Bilzerian, the judge issued an order appointing a receiver over his assets and ordered him arrested for civil contempt. Dan Bilzerian's dad then filed for bankruptcy again. This is where it gets cute. In January 2001, declaring his non-exempt assets of $15,805 against $140 million in debts. Okay? Most of which was for the government's disgorgement judgment. Under Florida bankruptcy law, the value of his primary residence was protected from creditors. The SEC alleged that Bilzerian was using bankruptcy as a tactic to block creditors from finding out the true value of his assets. Isn't it interesting? Dan Bilzerian showing off all over Instagram, luxurious things, while his dad, let's say, ripped off so many people. Wow. But hey, this must be the Jews' fault, right? And Bilzerian argued that it was a total fabrication as the bankruptcy laws require full disclosure and a trustee to take possession of his assets. Bilzerian argued the real reason the SEC opposed his bankruptcy was so that the SEC receiver could control all his assets through an extremely cooperative federal judge in Washington who allowed the SEC to go after Bilzerian's wife and children in conflict with an earlier bankruptcy court judgment. This is Dan Bilzerian's father, folks. Many people say maybe he didn't get his money from poker. Some people maybe might say he cleaned up his money in poker. Gets better. Good old Dan Bilzerian, your hero, the woman beater, the degenerate poker player, the guy who, according to Forbes, used other people's credit cards to pay his bills. What happened to Ignite? What happened to the fraud allegations? Let's go back to his daddy, though. Let's go back to his daddy, Dan Bilzerian, your dad, Dan. You're not like Pat. Pat's dad worked as a cashier at a dollar store. Armenian success story in the United States. On June 11, 2001, let's go back here. While Bilzerian was in prison, what was Dan doing? Showing off on Instagram? FBI agents raided his family's residence on the strength of a sealed warrant and seized computers, files, and a Beretta firearm. The raid appeared to be related to the SEC contentions that Bilzerian had concealed his ownership of assets during bankruptcy proceedings by transferring them to trust and show corporations. What Bilzerian claimed was a total fabrication. Oh, sounds pretty honest to me. I see where Dan gets it from. Bilzerian unsuccessfully sued the FBI agent for filing a sworn affidavit that contained mostly fake statements, but a federal judge dismissed the case. Bilzerian was released from prison in January 2002, pursuant to an agreement under which his wife, Terry Stephan, would sell the residence and split the proceeds with the SEC and transfer most of her wealth to the SEC. Bilzerian was critical of the deal, describing it as the SEC using a hostage to extort money from his wife. Millions of dollars gone. And now he's talking about the FBI extorting his wife. Again, we see where Dan gets his honesty and integrity and ethics from. Hey, this is the guy who's telling you Israel's lying. Israel lied so much, says the liar. That street thug in Romania will talk about all the people lying in the matrix, says the compulsive liar, Andrew Tate. And that transfer of most of her wealth to the SEC. I mean, you see how these street thugs are together? Birds of a feather flock together. In May 2004, Stephan sold her residency for $2.55 million to a partnership controlled by a Belgian businessman. SEC attorneys approved the unusually low price. You know what that means. You already know what that means. According to court documents filed in 2606, Stephan's parents purchased a 99% interest in that partnership 3 weeks later. Oh, what a coincidence. Let's say a deal worked out. Anyway, Trust Fund Dan, as people may call him, has also another reason of the real reason why I think he supports his hatred towards Israel is good old Dan was in the military. Let's look at Dan going to Armenia. Dan Bilzerian registers with Armenian Armed Forces. Let's look at this. Let's read this. American Armenian billionaire. If you believe he's a billionaire, I could fucking sell you a bridge. Instagram king and poker player, degenerate poker player, Dan Bilzerian. Let's go to the next part of this. This is according to the pretty reputable website. A spokesperson for the military commissariat confirmed the news to Armenian press, noting that Bilzerian submitted all necessary documents. Dan and his brother Adam received Armenian passports earlier today. According to law, every male citizen of the Republic of Armenia should register with the armed forces. So isn't that rich? Isn't that fucking rich, Dan? You're here talking about Israelis and this foreign citizenship. You're basically projecting, aren't you, Dan? Because you're talking about this, but what are you really angry about? See, I think what Dan's really angry about is that Israel helped the Azerbaijanis against Armenia. And that's, in fact, why Dan Bilzerian is so hostile towards Israel. There are many Jews, I would say, at least I will, that acknowledge there was a genocide in Armenia. And I don't necessarily agree with that, although my grandmother was born in Tabriz, the Azerbaijan side of Iran. My cousins were just in Armenia for holiday. And I would love to go to Yerevan. My boxing coach is Armenian. Many Iranians and Armenians get along. And I would say that it was not right, that maybe some corruption happened, or who knows what the real reason is, that Israel helped Armenia. But I do think that if Israel was not involved in that, Dan Bilzerian would not be so hostile towards Israel today. So I think you can see in this interview, he doesn't really hate Jews that much. That's my impression. It's just political because he loves Armenia. But he attacks the Jews for loving Israel. Right? He's a hypocrite. Why doesn't he put a disclaimer that he was in a foreign military or applied for a foreign military? Unless this is all false. But according to a spokesperson, it didn't sound like it was false. This is the radio. This is public radio of Armenia, my source. So I ask you, Dan Bilzerian, to please at least be clear that you want the United States foreign policy to be so Armenia could not be helped by Israel. If you enjoyed this stream, I ask you to subscribe on Rumble or follow here on Twitter, on X. I want to say thank you to all of you, over 3,500. Who knows, maybe we got 4 viewers on YouTube. We know YouTube doesn't censor my stream. Or maybe my content just sucks, but let's see. Anyway, long story short, thank you to Rumble. Thank you to the Rumble team. Thank you to X. Thank you to Elon Musk. Over 3,500 of you that are still here, 2 hours and 16 minutes into it. Without me pushing any rage bait, without me pushing any hatred towards anyone, without me saying something degenerate and full of hate like Sneeko would, who, as we all may know, when you look at his gay modeling pictures, looks like he maybe sold his ass to a fashion photographer in New York, a gay one. I mean, what sort of guy gets naked in front of another guy, right? I never did that. Andrew Tate's wearing pink underwear. I never did that. Myron's in bed with another guy. I never did that. Jake Shields is on another man's lap. I never did that. Nick Fuentes is hanging out with a guy that's like a trainee doing a stream. I never did that in my 20s and 30s. I'll let you decide. Thank you, everybody. I didn't think I'd go this long, but thank you, everyone. Appreciate you. Please subscribe. Send this stream to someone. Maybe like, maybe follow, subscribe. Much love. Enjoy the weekend. And thank you so much. All right. And despite all the bigotry you see on X, just know most people are good. Most Jews are good. Most Christians are good. Most Arabs are good. Just know that. Most people are good. Don't let a few crazy fanatics with mental health issues and propagandists on X and Instagram and these social media apps make you think not. Most people are good. I believe that. God bless you. Take care.